Hello, and welcome back to Xpwaste, where by the end of this episode, you better have something nice to say about RS3. Hi, I'm Oxie.
And I'm Michael. If this is your first time tuning into Xpwaste, welcome. We're an old school RuneScape podcast where ordinarily, on any other given week, except for like 3 weeks ago, we're going to talk about old school RuneScape. And that's our thing. Talk about old school RuneScape
We promise we are an old school show.
We are. But not today. Today, we're a little bit different. And you'll just have to wait and see. If you're not new around here, we are joined by the #1 RuneScape 3 streamer of all time. The RS guy here is joining us today. Welcome, RS guy, aka Ryan. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. This is gonna be fun. You know, if you wanted to, we could talk about old school. I don't know how far we would get, but I think it might make more sense to do a pivot this week.
We could start.
You know what?
I have a question.
I was gonna say, yeah, Michael, go ahead. But we probably have the same question.
We probably do. Have you ever played old school RuneScape? And what was your experience?
So I played old school the day it came out, actually. Like, I was a first year old school player because when EOC came out, I made a lot of PvP content. PvP died when EOC came out for the most part. So I'd say for the most part, so that an angry PvPer doesn't get into my DMs and I don't know.
Trust me, it wouldn't be the first time an angry PvPer has been in the comments of the XP.
Oh, perfect. I'm in the right place then. Great. So I quit our EOC when it came out for over a year. And when old school came out, I played old school for about a year. And then eventually I was making content on both games and I kind of just made the decision to focus on RS3. But it was basically a coin flip at the time, so it could have been the other way. But yeah, so I have played a bit of old school just a really long time ago, so I know not very much about the modern game. And then I'm planning on, because I don't know if you guys were following this, but Foe came to RS3 and did a no-help run with Leagues. And it was very fun to watch, and it was very cool. So my plan is for the next old school leagues, so not the Gridmaster, but the actual leagues, I will make my actual return to old school, having not played the game in 10 years, and see how far I can get with no help. So that's sort of what my plan is for my return to old school for the first time in forever.
I'm going to have to follow that on YouTube because I am so interested to see what regions you're going to pick and what builds you're going to go with. That's fun. That's going to be fun.
I'm excited for that. I'm excited. So there's an alternate universe somewhere where you are not the RS guy, you're the OSRS guy. And out in that universe, you never made the switch because you said it came down to a coin flip. So you could have been the OSRS guy.
Yep, it absolutely. It was that coin flip. I polled my audience, but I didn't have any viewers, and my one IRL friend voted RS3 because he preferred RS3, and that is literally the only reason I'm an RS3 person, and I have been for 10 years.
That is wonderful.
That's amazing.
That is wonderful. So for all the old school players who are okay, that's cool. Who the hell is this guy? In fairness, we didn't really know that much either, but we saw this kick-ass tier list relic video. That's kind of how we got into how I was let's reach out to this guy on Twitter, see if he wants to come on the show. You were also on stage at Runefest, though, correct? You did something at Runefest, right?
Yes, I have done a great many things at different Runefests.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was another thing. It's okay, we don't know the game, but he's literally the guy in this case. He has a mug with his own name on it. If you've watched the video version. He's the guy for RS3, so he's probably a great person to chat about the RS3 League Catalyst or the Catalyst League. What are folks calling it? Leagues Catalyst?
RS3 Leagues is what everybody's just
RS3 Leagues, yeah. Leagues 1, hopefully.
Nickname basis.
Also, I just checked very quickly, brief pause. I just checked my recording. I think I had game sounds in the background for the first little bit. I have now fixed it. It's literally whatever the pure essence mine sounds like.
God,
I'm so sorry.
I am not upset about that at all. So if you guys at home have been listening to pure essence sounds in the first couple of minutes of the episode, that lets you know that this man stands on business, right? Because he is recording with people he's never met before, and he's got the client open on the other end. Because I'm mining light anima. Is that what we call it? Animica? Yeah. I'm mining light animica, and of course I'm worshiping the crab on the Iron Man.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I am. We are all just fully looking over at the other monitor while we're recording. That's
I am
great.
so sorry. I've got the banker's note because I did a bad relic playthrough. I'm just holding down the banker's note key while I'm mine, and it's full AFK. It's 15 minutes, so I'm not even looking. But I looked over the recording, and it's like, oh no. So I do apologize for that, but you'll get a bit of pure essence mine at the beginning potentially.
Oh, that is excellent. That is, honestly, I'm totally fine with that. That's actually pretty
hilarious.
So I guess the big question to start is we're playing leagues. 2 weeks ago, I challenged Michael to get into the RS3 League. And I said, Michael, you have 2 weeks to either get your tier 5 relic or get your fire cape. Now, I understand in RS3 the fire cape has fallen pretty far from the best in slot cape upgrade, and I imagine with some of the abilities that I have been using to kill some of these bosses is not nearly as difficult as it was, but still a challenge nonetheless, a challenge we're familiar with. Michael, how have you progressed on that goal?
Okay, so I'm not logged in right now. So
because I know how he did.
Anyway. I'm not logged into RuneScape 3 right now, so if that tells you anything. I got to tier 2, and I think I'm 400 points from tier 3, and I have 30 something necromancy. I'm base 30s combat. I have 5 range, so no, I have not done a fire cape.
Okay, that's okay. It's a thought that counts.
It's a thought that counts. I didn't do a fire cape, and I didn't get tier 5, unfortunately. So, if you as the listeners will remember from a couple weeks ago, I had my surgery on Thursday to get snipped, got a vasectomy. I'm currently iced up right now, and we're day 3 of recovery. And so I thought, you know what? I got this in the bag. I'm going to be chilling. Like, I'm only supposed to be sitting down. Like, I can do that. I can sit at my computer. And the last 3 days, I've not wanted to do anything but sit in my papasan chair. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what a papasan chair is, but it's this big, like, round bamboo chair with a super cushy, huge round pillow that you sit in, and it's so comfortable. So I've barely played any games since Thursday. I think I sat down to play Fortnite for some reason, and it was so laggy that I had to stop. But yeah, no, I haven't had the time like I thought I would, unfortunately.
Well, expecting a very similar answer out of our guest. RS Guy, how's leagues been going for you? What kind of progress have you been making in the league?
Yeah, so I'm getting pretty close to tier 3. We're not moving so quick so far, but no, it's been fun. Yeah, it's been good. I've got tier 7 on 2 different accounts. One thing that I found looking at the relics is there was kind of a right and a wrong choice for a lot of the tiers. I didn't feel like there was a lot of, which on one hand I actually think was good, because I think a lot of RS3 players, and I'll definitely speak for myself, making that tough decision 7 times is really, really difficult. So like at the beginning, it was nice. It's like, okay, this is a good pick. The other ones are terrible comparatively. It's easy. But then getting through the whole league, I feel like probably 60 or 70% of people picked the exact same relics the entire way through up until tier 7. And I don't want to say it got boring quick, but it definitely was a bit of a bummer to kind of have that lack of interesting decisions to make. So I got to tier 7 very quickly on my main. I got to like 40k points, which is 2/3 of the way to Dragon. And then I just kind of got not bored, but I was everyone was the exact same build, doing the exact same thing. It just didn't feel very fun. So I started a second account where every relic I picked on my first playthrough was like blocked out. So I didn't have the option to pick them. And then my chat, I had them vote on every relic pick, but it was pick the worst one. So basically, give me the worst relics all the way to tier 7. So I have like an absolutely cursed build, and that account just got to tier 7 yesterday. So
wow,
what are the relics on the cursed build?
Oh, it's bad. Okay, so I got Animal Wrangler tier 1, 5-Finger Discount tier 2, Void Walker tier 3, and then in tier 4 they rejuvenated me back to tier 1 for Divine Woodcutter.
No.
And then it's not good. Tier 5, I've got Bombardment, which is the range relic that doesn't do anything for some reason. Tier 6 is the Banker's Note. And then tier 7, I've got Everlasting Faith, which is good if you're a new player, but for a ranger that can't do any damage, not so good.
Wow. That is, I mean, okay, you explained it a little bit in your tier list video from a couple weeks ago. For an old school player, right? A relic that increases chance to catch and cook fish, a relic that auto pickpockets, a relic that acts as all the jewelry in a game. Those are like the staples in an old school league.
Yeah.
Why? Don't get me wrong. Divine Woodcutter is such a shitty choice. That's your chat's on one for that. Why are these relics so bad in RS3? Just like a brief little summary. Why are they ass?
So a big piece of feedback around this entire league as well is almost all of the relics are just very underpowered. So as an example, I know in old school leagues, you're more powerful than a main account with best in slot very early on. And in this league, like I'm well into tier 7 on this account, and I am doing 6 times less damage than I would be doing on my main.
Oh,
as an example.
How? Wow.
Well,
is it just because of your shitty range relic, or like?
Well, the range relic doesn't give you any extra damage. None of the passives are good for really extra damage. Like I'm just not strong at all. I have no power at all because, you know, the relics aren't super strong a lot of the ways. The passives aren't super strong compared to what they would be in old school for most of the tiers. So I'll preface it with that. But yeah, the reason a lot of these relics are bad is because you have one option that is like Excavator Relic. Infinitely trains or crafting, done. Mining, done. Smithing, done. Double ore, archaeology, done. Like it finishes 4 important skills for you. And then Divine Woodcutter is woodcutting, fire making, which aren't needed for anything. And then divination, but only methods that you don't actually use to train. So it'd kind of be like if there was a mining relic in old school, but it only worked in the pure essence mine. You'd be like,
Damn.
Okay, interesting idea,
Okay.
but it's just not good anywhere. It doesn't do anything. And then Animal Wrangler is actually okay. The one kind of negative is like the main thing it does is like you get double hunter loot. But in RS3, it's not like old school. I'm gonna make an assumption here that like you could train hunter for chins. You could you could use those chins. So getting double hunter loot would be good. In RS3, you do this thing called whirly gigs to train hunter basically all the way to 99. And it's pretty well, you control a crocodile, you click on swimming things on a pond. Very active, very
that's
fun.
the 1 to 99 method.
Yeah, so you get different tiers of whirly gigs, and they get like they get faster, they give you more XP, you get XP modifiers, so eventually you can click on 5 each time. So it's actually a very fun method, but you don't do it for the loot. And the loot doesn't terribly matter from them. So getting double loot on something where the loot doesn't matter, it's a good example of like this just doesn't mean anything. So I would say it's kind of that sort of thing. And then the pickpocketing one in old school, it worked in a 7x7. In RS3, it doesn't. So like the main thing that makes it cool on old school doesn't exist in RS3.
I actually totally forgot about that.
That was a recent change though. So, you may see a 7x7 in a RuneScape 3 league at some point.
Yeah, that'd be really, really cool to see.
But don't you already auto pickpocket in RS3?
You do. Yeah. So auto
that wasn't
pickpocketing
even
doesn't.
cool.
I think it's a little faster with the relic maybe, and you can't fail, so it's more AFK, but it's kind of the same thing where there's not a lot you can do with it, especially in terms of leagues points. And then if you're looking at the teleport relics, the reason the teleport relic is bad is because if you pick Perfection in tier 6, you can make an item that is that anyway with Invention, with your infinite components. You still have to load it up with some jewelry, but it's called the Passage of the Abyss. Even the item looks the same, and it's just a non-filled version of the same thing. And the other thing is RS3 has a lot of teleports. So, like, you could use an Amulet of Glory to get to Edgeville.
Holy shit,
you
y'all
could also
can get anywhere.
Yep, there are like 5
Lodestone.
teleports
What?
to everywhere.
Oh my god. You get it is transporter. You barely have to walk anywhere in RS3.
Yeah,
it's
and
excellent
because the Abyssal Conduit is a lot of kind of old schooly teleports, like the Ring of Dueling, the Glory. There are 8 teleports to all of those locations already. Like you want to go to Edgeville, you could Lodestone, you could Glory with your passage, or you could use the Wilderness Sword. It'll take you right to the bank. You just have too many options a lot of the time. So that's what makes those choices not so good.
I will say, I know we said we wouldn't talk a ton of shit about RS3, so I want to explore a little bit of what the goods have been. As someone who has basically never played this game, I joined up with some friends a couple of years ago who had an existing clan. I joined and I helped cap their citadel on occasion, and I did some like basic old school quests like Tree Gnome Village and Grand Tree on my main account in RS3, next to no experience. I popped a lot of treasure hunter keys from just playing for as long as I have, but I don't know what any of the rewards and shit that I've gotten are. This league has been very good for old school players. And if you are an old school player listening right now, which I imagine most of you are, there is still a little time. I highly recommend you check it out. It is a couple weeks ago, I said that RS3 is going to benefit from the old school players coming over because obviously we know the difference in population, but they would benefit the most from doing a Shattered Relic style league where I don't know how familiar with old school leagues you are, Ryan, but almost every league has been region locked where you get Lumbridge, Karamja, and then 3 other regions of your choice, except for Shattered Relics. Shattered Relics gave you the entire world, and it just basically became fast Iron Man mode, which as old school players, we were really critiquing. But we said for RS3 would be good because I don't know what the hell is going on. Like, I don't know what regions I'm supposed to select and whether or not they're going to be, the regions are going to be good choices, right? Like, having played a little bit now, I still don't know what the benefits would be, and I don't know where some regions would put me, you know? Like, I don't know. So I think the structure of the league as this, like, here's the whole world, everything is sped up, go figure it out, has been, I have liked it so far. I'm up to tier 5, slowly pushing to tier 6, just going for 99 mining. I know 99s don't mean too much in this game, but we're going for the skill cape anyways, you know?
Hey, that's 200 league points right there.
Is it really? Hot dog.
You take them every 99.
Every 99. Okay. Are there any tasks for 120s or no?
I think for the skills that go to 120, yes. But I think for every skill, it's 99, 50 mil XP are the 2 thresholds.
Okay. That sounds about right. Has it been 50 mil or 25 mil in past leagues for old school? I don't remember.
They have one. It's kind of crazy in old school because it goes 200 points for 99, 200 points for 25, 200 points for 35, and then 200 points for 50.
Oh, yeah, you're
That's
right.
a lot
I
more
do
points.
remember that.
Yeah, it's bonkers. Because, like, I mean, getting the XP is going to be a lot slower. I think at the top end, you're probably looking at, there were some skills that, you know, you could go 75 mil an hour. Because, like, I think farming in old school leagues is generally pretty quick with one of the relics. But no, some of them, I mean, some methods are like, you're still only getting like 3 mil an hour. And so I think it's balanced out with, there are some fast ones and there are some slow ones. And they kind of want to reward people for at least getting 250.
Makes a certain amount of sense.
Yeah, it's been nice so far. I don't know. I'm enjoying what I am doing. I think RS3, this has been on my mind for a little while. I know we don't want a ton of things from RS3 to come to old school. Guys, can we be a little bit more lenient for some things? The tool belt fucks. The tool belt absolutely fucks. Reaper tasks absolutely fuck. Not a big daily fan, but like, hey, I know it's in leagues you can pick your Reaper task, I imagine, but like, go kill whatever boss you want is so much fun. The numbers are a little low. I don't know why I'm only being tasked to kill like 7 KBD, but I don't know if that increases over time or what. But War's Retreat absolutely fucks for PVM. That'd be so cool to have in old school. There's a lot of really nice things about this game that we've experienced so far, at least I've experienced as an old school player, that I think we should probably just bite the bullet and add them to old school for quality of life's sake, you know? Not everything, but some things.
That's such an interesting one to me. And also, I do want to circle back to your point about region locking in the league too. But a lot of the things you brought up are things that RS3 players don't like, actually, which is interesting.
Really?
Well, I think a lot of us have daily fatigue, like a lot of daily fatigue. It's the idea that to get a best in slot amulet, you need 900 Reaper points, and every day you can earn 30. Is like,
oh, okay. Oh, that's pretty shitty.
Know, when you really think about it. And then for some styles, you need 4 of those amulets. So you need
for some styles, what?
Certain combat styles.
Combat?
Yeah, you would juggle Essence of Finality amulets, and each one is 900 Reaper points. So you would probably need 3,600 Reaper points on like an Iron Man. So you'd have to do a long extended Reaper every single day for like 4 straight months without missing a day to get your amulets.
Yeah, it's if you do 30 points a day, it's 30 days to get 900. I just did the math because I was like, that what? Like, put it in days for
XP
me.
waste and math really don't go well together.
I did it on the calculator.
Okay, thank God. Thank God. We're not the best with math around here.
That's crazy, though.
Okay.
So balancing
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
I'll give you another one too. War's Retreat is good because it's the ultimate portal to every boss you're going to. But also, I feel like in old school, your gear progression matters a little more because you actually do trips at bosses. And I feel like that is an important piece of RuneScape that has been completely lost. Because no matter what, you do one kill, you go to wars, you do one kill, you go to wars, and that's faster than waiting for the boss to respawn. So it kind of, right? So when you think about it that way, wars is the ultimate convenience, but it also, like, something has been lost there as well. There was a cost for that convenience, and the cost is something like, I don't know, I remember waking up and planning out my first ever trip to General Grardor and like seeing if I could get 4 kills instead of the usual 3. And like, you know, you get that shark drop and it extends your trip. Like, and maybe this is just me being nostalgic and maybe all of that is stupid and bad. But to me, that's something that I wish RS3 had a little bit more, because the War's Retreat loop is just so, it just beats out everything. There's no point in trying to have a trip.
Old school absolutely does have that too. I think the two that come to mind for me are Araxor and Hydra. If I get even like 1 or 2 supply drops from Araxor, that's an 11 kill trip, you know, with whatever dog shit armor I have in my scythe. Like it's an extended trip. I think my PB at Hydra is 44 kills in an instance because Hydra shits out prayer pots.
That's so many bones.
Obviously,
lost.
like it's like max range Tebow main account bone. What am I, poor? I don't need Hydra bones. You know, like but yeah, you are right, I guess, in that sense, where it does kind of like take away that feeling of like, hey, I really need this item. It will really help me not, you know, feel so bad in this particular instance. As a guest to the RS3 realm, I think it's a quite cool concept, which I guess let's talk about the region locking thing, and then we can gripe about dailies, because you did bring up the Reaper points, and I did not know that. I don't know what the Amulet of Finality is, and that sounds awful.
Yeah, so region locking wise, I was a little worried when it was announced that the league wouldn't be region locked, because the game is vast and it's very like well known in the RS3 community. We call it the mid-game drop-off, which is early game, you follow a progression path, the XP is flowing, you're having fun, you get to 1,200 total, and then the game opens up so fast and is so overwhelming that people quit. And it is a fact this happens because the mid-game is so vast and there's so much you could do. So my worry without region locking is like, okay, so people are going to have an easy early time. And then if there aren't enough quest auto completes, if there's enough guidance, people are going to potentially fizzle out and run into some issues. So
I can see it.
That's me.
There you go. Welcome.
You're
Welcome
talking to me.
Your mid-game drop-off era. But yeah, I'd also love to get into why you kind of fizzled out a little bit. I know there was a time component too, but obviously I'm sure there was an enjoyment component too.
Michael plays RuneScape every single day. So it wasn't like he just like, oh, I never had time to game. The man is online every day. He has a child. He had a surgery. He has a full-time job. My man has the time. Why didn't we play RS3? Not that I'm grilling you, but now I am also super curious. Why did we fall off?
So I'll start by saying what I did do was fun. There was no aspect of the league or of RuneScape itself that I think that like there wasn't one thing that like caused me to not do it. I really like having played for, I don't know, 20 hours maybe, which is not a lot, but there's a part of me that thinks, oh, I could play this game on the side, or I could play this game in rotation, like if I'm ever burnt on old school, or say I want to just sit at the crap. You know, I got invited to start a RuneScape 3 GIM, and now I'm actually like really considering it. I was considering it before, but like this experience in playing a league has given me like some sort of like foundation to start at least. You know, there's a lot of things that are very overwhelming when you look at the two games side by side. And I don't want this whole episode to just be like a comparison of old school to RS3 because like our main focus here would be to talk about the league, but you can't, as like a main old school player, you can't go down that journey without having some sort of comparison. So for me, like the biggest comparisons were the interfaces are vastly different. And
the interface nightmare from the live stream. Oh no.
It wasn't even a nightmare. It was just the experience, I think. Honestly, when you spawn in on a RuneScape 3 fresh account, never having played it, that is a big part of the journey, is getting your interfaces set up, figuring out what all the buttons do, figuring out where to put things to make them feel comfortable. I think that's just part of the journey. Maybe Ryan, you yourself aren't privy to that because you've been playing for the last 10 years and like, don't you have
a guide on how to set it up?
Yeah,
don't you have like the premier guide for how to set up the interface?
So I work with new players every day. I spend a lot of time, and everything you're saying about the interface, like it needs a significant simplification, and it is absolutely like it is not so good. And yes, I do have a guide to setting up an interface.
Oh hell yeah.
You need one. So
I'll check
right
that
before
out.
Leagues, we made a website called thersguide.com.
Oh, okay.
And it quite literally has like all of the stuff you need to do, all of the settings that are wrong by default, all of the like random nonsense that you need to do or you're going to have a bad time.
Hell yeah.
And it's just, it's one of those things that RS3 players just know and meme about, but at least there's interface sharing. So if you find a streamer you like, you can just steal their interface. But yeah, it's a lot of learning. So totally fair that that's not exactly what you want when you're a new player experiencing a world for the first time and you don't even get to experience the world. You have to fight the interface first.
Yeah. Spend the first half hour in the menus is not the best early game experience, but you bring up a good point that I've thought about here, because I've been trying to, prepare a little bit, because normally with old school, we can just shoot the shit for whatever, but, we need to kind of lock in with RS3. We really take it for granted how much we know about old school starting a league. I think I did the calculations with the misses the other night, because I may or may not have been like, we should try RuneScape. And we made some new accounts together and ran around, and, I got her a pet cat and all this other stuff. I have like 8,000 hours on my main account alone, not counting the Iron, not counting Leagues, not counting RS3, not counting any other shitter accounts I've made in the past, dead man mode, whatever. 8,000 hours of game knowledge on one account. So when a league pops up, I know exactly what to do, exactly where to go, exactly what relics I want, exactly how a relic choice is going to affect me, not just in the first 10 minutes, but for the first 100 hours of my gameplay experience. Coming into RS3 and having no idea what was going on, it really hit me like, damn, we are very spoiled when this league pops up. And I understand now why people fizzle out around Steel, Black, Mithril, Adamant, Cup, because if you don't know the nitty gritty of the game, it is really hard to look at some of those long-term points and be like, how the hell am I going to get 250 KC at this boss? I don't even know where this boss is. Yeah. I was like looking up random boss mechanics last night, because my go-tos for Reaper have been like KBD, Barrows, Dagonoth Kings, Chaos Elemental, things I already know how to kill. And I've been looking up, like, what do you need to do to kill, like, Virago or something? And I'm looking up, like, enrage mechanics and insta-kill buttons. And I'm like, okay, never mind. Dagonoth Kings it is. Like, I don't know how to do any of that stuff. We really are in a good spot when you start an old school league. So if you are like, I'm only like 1,700 total level, I'm not going to know what to do in an old school league, I promise you will. Holy shit, you're going to be on good footing if you know the game that you're playing.
Yeah, and I think that applies to any game too. Like, I'm sure I'll have the same experience when I try out an old school league. I'm gonna have no idea what I'm doing or what to do, and that makes it a lot harder. But I think overall, it's been so nice seeing old school players giving RS3 a try and enjoying components of it. Like, I'm happy nitpicking about, dailies suck or whatever else, the UI isn't great. But overall, the thing that I think has been most beneficial about this league, and this might be a hot take, you can call me out if you don't think that's the case. I always find this one an interesting one to talk about with kind of old school focused people. But RS3 gets shit on so often from old school all the time, every day,
That's
all the
what?
freaking
What
time.
do you
Nah,
mean?
don't give me
What?
that. It does. And I kind of hoped going into it that enough people would try out RS3 to get to the point that instead of, wow, screw RS3, worst game ever, this is garbage, MTX scape, easy scape, whatever, at least there would be a rebuttal of, actually, I tried it out with Leagues and there was some cool stuff. That was like my biggest hope from this league, because I actually think it does a lot of damage to the game whenever people are like, man, what game should I play? Like, what's RS3 like? And the conversation is dominated by old school people that mostly haven't seen it since 2012, talking about how bad it was when 2012 happened. Because, and like, it's valid because that's the game that made everybody quit, the 2012 RuneScape. But that's not what the game is anymore. So anyway, that was
we
the
had
thing.
that conversation. We had the conversation a couple weeks ago on the show, and you thought we were insulting our fans' mothers. We were pretty much like, here's the deal. Evolution to Combat has had like 13 years to figure its shit out, and I've heard from my friends who play both games that the RS3 combat is really, really good and really fun. The only unique RS3 boss I've killed in a unique way, I've killed the green matriarch, but it truly has just been like stand there and beat the shit out of it because my health regenerates, and I don't even need to use prayer. Archglacior has been the only one that I've fought and had to be like, okay, I use this ability when it spawns all its little shitters and I have to surge out of the arms, and like I'm engaging with the combat in a way that doesn't really feel that bad. You know, so the combat is good, and the microtransactions, while let's be honest, kind of egregious in the main game. Like, it is overwhelming to log into my main and be like, hey, you have 30 keys to open for this yak track. I'm like, what? And get a bunch of Proteon shit that I don't know what any of it does, and suddenly I have 50 divination. I don't even know what divination is. As an Iron Man, you don't get that. And the only other thing being the daily scape, which ignorance is bliss. I don't know what any of these pop-ups
You don't know what
mean.
you're missing.
Displaced
Easy.
energy has started at the pond west of the Dark Warriors Fortress. That's a lot of words. Too bad I'm not reading them. I've got mining to do. I'm just ignoring the shit out of the dailies.
You're unburdened by knowledge. Love that.
It's been so nice with the dailies. It really has. So I think what we talked about a couple of weeks ago of like, let's perch the knee-jerk hatred has really come to fruition here. I think it's been a good experience, and I will say, despite there being a ton of differences in the landscape, in the sound font, in the graphics, in the gameplay, there are a lot of similarities. There are a lot of things that you as an old school player are going to be like, well, can I just do this? And you absolutely can. You know, a lot of the same core mechanics work very similarly, just they look a little bit different, you know? Even all the same quests where you're like, can I still do Grand Tree and get like 40 attack off the rip? Yep.
Sure
You still can. It works pretty well.
Yeah, that's been my number one thing for this league is like, it's going to help the RS3 chances of survival so much, just having old school players that have experienced it and can at least say a couple good things about the game. And that's infinitely more than what was happening before. So I've been really happy to see so many old school people and creators like yourselves coming over and giving it an honest try. And that, like, yeah, that means a lot to a lot of people in the RS3 community. Just for some context, like, I've probably streamed something like 5,000 times in the last 10 years, something like that, in the ballpark.
Jesus.
Maybe in the ballpark, in the last 10, 12, 13 years, whatever it's been. And every single day of my life, I have old school people coming into my chat and telling me the game I'm playing sucks. I should play old school. And that's okay. We're used to it here on RS3.
So
but
dumb.
that's sort of the context for why I think it's so important that old school people are likely, you know, hopefully going to chill and actually have. Like, I had one yesterday and it caught me off guard. I was like, oh, that hasn't happened in a while. And like, that was really nice for me. So yeah, it's appreciated. People checking it out.
I think that's like the quintessential thing. It has been for so long, is we have people, and you said it yourself. You're like, you played 12 years ago, you quit because of this update. And if that offends you, it's probably because it's true. If you're, as a listener, if your only gripe about RS3 is because of EOC and you quit 12 years ago, it's probably true. We, on this show at least, try to stay away from that like dialogue when it comes to RuneScape 3, because I don't know, we've recognized that RuneScape is a part of Jagex and old school is a part of Jagex. We're under the same roof. So it's like your weird half brother that you didn't really know growing up.
You can be the youngest sibling who grew up to be cooler than your older sibling. That's fine. You can make a dig eventually. You can be every now and then, but yeah, I don't know.
You're still
like,
family
as you get
either way.
older. Yeah. Well, like as you get older, you learn, and this is a sibling analogy. Like maybe you weren't super close with your older brother who is 15 years older than you. As you grow up and you're experiencing life, you have more things you can connect over. Like I feel I have a sister who is from my dad's first marriage. She's like 50. I'm 33. As a kid, I had nothing to relate to my sister who was in her 20s. But me now as an adult in my 30s, I can sit down with my 50-year-old sister and we can relate on things. So it's kind of like that, where if I still had the mindset of like, I have nothing I can relate to because my sister was born 20 years before me, I would not have a relationship with her. But now it's like old school and RuneScape, we've kind of grown up together, and there are similarities and there are things you can connect about, but you don't like a lot of old school players just don't do that because they don't care to do that.
We're all
it's a
adults
long-winded
now, too.
analogy, but
my little sister who's 2 years younger than me, the relationship I have with her now, where I come home, she's blasting Life of a Showgirl, and I'm singing the lyrics as I walk in the door because I also have been blasting Life of a Showgirl. And we talk about the intricacies of the album, for totally forgetting why I came home for the first like half an hour I get there, is very different from my relationship with her 12 or 13 years ago around the time EOC came out, where I was like, hey, can we turn Taylor Swift off, please? Like, and just not be, but being a lot meaner about it like an older brother would be. It's a much different relationship when you get older. As an old school player, you can definitely see that. And where I saw that the most is Runefest. I don't know how much you heard about Project Xanaris, Ryan. I was a certified Project Xanaris hater. It was, in my opinion, basically private servers for old school RuneScape. Not a fan. And during the Xanaris panel, I said, fuck that. I'm going to go watch the RS3 art panel upstairs. They put you guys in like the fucking corner upstairs in the NEC away from everybody else. I walked in, there was like 25 people and like 6 JMods, all like talking about the different art aesthetics of what was coming and what had recently come out. And I was like, this is kind of cool. It's a very unique, fun experience, and the same, like the questions that people were asking were so similar to the questions that the old school players ask, and the passion is obviously exactly the same. Population difference is notably a little bit lower, but it is very much one and the same, despite looking and feeling different at times.
Oh, for sure. And definitely getting sort of different treatment as well in a lot of different ways. Like there are a lot of times where I see old school updates. Like the fact that y'all had like 7 bosses that got new mechanics and new drops with your last leagues. And I'm just, I feel the conversation.
The Echo bosses fucked. Oh, they were so much fun.
In my head, that's the kind of thing that gets pitched at an RS3 thing. And then what comes back is, what do you mean we're going to make 7 bosses for people to play with for 6 weeks? There's no way. They need to play it forever for it to be like justified. Like it feels like the type of shit that we would never get. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the next league is going to have echo bosses, but it just, the way that the games are approached, even from Jagex, they're treated differently too. And that's a fact. So there are a lot of updates that old school gets, or QoLs that old school gets, or API stuff that old school gets. And I look at it and I'm like, I want this so bad. And I feel like we're never going to get it. And that sucks.
Damn.
So the few RS3 JMods I talked to, like I think I got a quick second to talk to Mod Blackwitch because she was one of the artists in the panel talking about whatever. The devs, correct me if I'm wrong, have the same passion for RS3 that the old school devs have for old school, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Also, for some context, I was a JMod last year, so I can give you some insight on this one if you want.
Let's go. What'd you do as a JMod? What was your job?
I was an influencer manager. I built RuneScape's first infant creator program. And then I also did a lot of helping with combat stuff just because I'm a really experienced combat player. And
Were you, what's your name, Mod Guy?
I was Mod RS guy, actually. Mod guy would have been fun, though. But yeah, we could talk about that later on. But yeah, definitely the devs are super passionate, right? It's never, I mean, it's the same with this leagues, right? There's a lot of talk and a lot of people, myself included, really complaining about some of the balance of things, some of the things that aren't working, how half the bosses just, the drop rate increase just doesn't work. All these different kinds of things that are making the experience, not enough quest skips, all this stuff. None of that ever falls on the devs because it's very clear they didn't have time, right? It's clear they were just crunched to oblivion in getting the league set up. And I had a JMod in my Twitch chat basically bring up like kind of not like feeling, I felt so bad when I saw the message because they weren't like apologizing, but they were kind of saying like, most of the time for Leagues 1 was building infrastructure for League 1. And then when it came to actually making tasks, adding quest skips, they just didn't have time. They just weren't given the time to make it the way that they wanted to. So
yeah,
it's
because
never
our question
the devs.
has been like y'all have the blueprint from old school. Why in the fucking world is your Song of the Elves? What's Song of the Elves in RS3
Summer's
called?
End, I think.
Plague's End.
That's the core quest.
Plague's End.
Plague's End.
Another
yeah.
end or
Why
something.
Why is Plague's End the only thing that's auto-completed? Why is World Wakes not auto-completed? How the hell do you even get to Menaphos? Is that quest lock? That's going to be quest locked to shit in old school RuneScape. Is that quest locked?
Yeah.
In RS3? Like, why aren't any of these quests that are like literally world shifting from 5th to 6th age auto-completed? I'm not going to do all that shit.
And the answer is
in a
time,
league.
I guess.
Like that. So I guess when you talk about like you pitch this idea that we have 7 brand new bosses that have all unique mechanics and all unique drops, and the response is for 7 weeks, no, we're not doing that. That's ridiculous. Is that the devs who say that, or is that the corporate overlords
upper
who
management
decide?
probably.
No.
Yeah,
it's never the devs. I will never say a single bad thing about the devs because in general they do an absolute ton with a little. And I wish they had more. Because to me, here's my thinking. Like, us getting 7 new bosses for a league, that's something you add once you've got the core fundamentals done. You've got the quest skips in. You've got all of the tasks figured out. Like, half the bosses in RS3...
And you've already had your rocky roads, right? Like, we had the Shattered Relics Nightmare. We had... we're out of ideas. Let's just redo Trailblazer. Like, we did all that already,
Yeah, just to me, like, once you've built the foundation, you can then start exploring crazy boss stuff. But this league, like, the foundation didn't get finished. So it just, it makes me feel like the likeliness of RS3 getting something like that. And I would love to be proven wrong on this, but it feels low based on the time crunch that was clearly experienced for this league in itself. Another one, like half of the bosses in RS3 just don't have any leagues points associated with them. Like, how is there not a single task for killing Zamorak? How is there not a single task for killing Solak? Not a single one. How come there are 1,000 points in Elite Dungeon 2, but not a single point in Elite Dungeon 1? Like, it feels like so much stuff was just forgotten or not looked at, and it just, I don't know. The league was really good, but it could have been so much better with just a little bit more time.
Here's the silver lining, and I think this is something that, and I get the vibe that from you, at least in what you were saying, that like this was a make or break kind of thing, and I hope it's not. I hope this isn't Jagex looks at the success or not success. I hope they don't look at this RS3 league and crunch the numbers and be like, yeah, it's not worth it. We're not going to pursue this in the future. That's the opposite of what I want to happen. Because here, going back to the silver lining, it's like moving forward, they've got all the infrastructure, they've got the foundation, and now for a Leagues 2, it could be like a Trailblazer thing, it could be a region lock thing. They just like, anytime I think about leagues in an old school sense, I've always thought the possibilities are literally endless. And so when you take that concept and you think, well, you've got the foundation for RuneScape 3, fall of 2026, they've had an entire year now to work on it. Say Leagues 2 for RS3 is just banging, because now you take the 5 seasons that we've had for old school, plus the 1 foundational season that you've had for RS3, you combine all that knowledge, you combine all that, those mechanics, you work out the bugs, and then RuneScape 3 Leagues 2 is just banging.
Oh yeah, I mean the recipe is there. The recipe is absolutely there to make a perfect league. And I also think this was a make or break league. The fact that it came out a little scuffed, and it's still, I think player count wise, I think there was like a 10-year record for RS3 player count. Like even on a scuffed league, it has been numerically, tangibly successful to the point that I'd be shocked if there weren't future leagues, and they're going to be great. So I think it was make or break, but I think it was enough to give everybody a free game mode where they didn't need another membership, because the last time RS3 did a new thing, it was you need another membership.
Oh, fresh start? Yeah.
Yep. Don't get me started on Fresh Start Worlds.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. No, go ahead. Pop off, King. What's the deal with Fresh Start Worlds? Why do we hate those?
Fresh Start Worlds are RS3 players' cope of this is the closest thing we're ever going to get to a league, but it's actually MTX riddled garbage, but we're going to pretend to enjoy it because we're never going to get a league. That was Fresh Start Worlds for me. But now we've got a league, right? We got Group Ironman this year. Like I genuinely think we are moving in the right direction. I think the next league is going to be sick. And I think it's very telling that a very suboptimal league still broke play count records. And I also am hoping, and this might be a cope, you might need to like edit a copium over me or something, but the fact that you gave old school players an RS3 game mode that had no MTX bullshit in it, and they loved playing it.
Yeah.
Perchance
there is
something that we can learn from this.
Okay, that brings up a good I wanted to talk about this with you specifically. You're someone who's seen the rise of old school. I don't know how much you pay attention, but you're also somebody who has experienced RuneScape 3 in its evolution, right? You've done it the last 10 years, however long. What do you think RS3 would look like if they did implement a community voting system as the primary means of bringing content into the game?
Oh, man. Okay, so I have some very hot takes about community voting, which I'm happy to be challenged on.
Let's do it. No,
I've bitched about the community voting myself. What do we got?
Well, you might be on a team here then. So
I love a good hot take.
Here's my thing about community voting. I think it is great for old school because that's the identity of the community is like, yeah, we pick the stuff, we pay, we say, like, that's the whole thing. That's the whole vibe. I also think that community voting has two major flaws. The first flaw is it homogenizes content because everyone knows how the dev cycle works. And if devs are working on something that you don't want and you vote no to it, it's more likely they'll be put on something that you do want. And everybody is aware of that. So anything that isn't the most kind of expected average player enjoyment thing is going to get no voted and is never going to happen. And I think you need to be careful with that because over time, you're going to build a game that is missing unique pieces of content for smaller groups of players. I'll give you an example. RS3 just got a group boss, a forced group boss. It's called a Mascot. It's got the most interesting, insane, beautiful mechanics of any boss fight in the game. It is not going to be popular compared to a solo boss, but it's made for a different group of players. And I think the community voting system operates under the assumption kind of that popularity is the only thing that matters. And I think it's very valid to make a unique piece of content that's going to be the favorite piece of content for 5% of your player base, and everybody else isn't going to play it. And I think that's okay, and there should be the ability to do that. My second thing with community voting, and this one is the more contentious one, but it sort of at times operates under the assumption that the player base know what is best for the game. And I don't know if that is necessarily true, both in terms of experience, but also in terms of being able to assess the long-term ramifications of an update. And I think because of those two factors, don't get me wrong, I love the concept of community voting and polling, but I also don't think it's like the RS3 needs this would fix everything, because I think it fixes a lot of problems and it creates a lot of like player pridefulness, I will say, which is very valuable. But it also does come at a cost too.
I would agree. There are definitely some things in old school that get pulled that, especially to the second point, it's like, why are we pulling this? Like, why is this a question? Just be game devs. Just make the damn game. You know, why are we asking the players if we should add this cosmetic option for the POH? Just add it to the game.
There's also an efficiency component of it where I think old school can afford to do polling because they have a way bigger team than RS3. They just
really,
yeah, they have more people working on the game. They've got more devs. They've got a community team that's probably 3 times the size. Like, they have more resources. And because of that, they can afford to have a dev mock up a piece of content, pitch it to the community, and if it gets no voted, it gets thrown out. And that probably sucks for the dev as an aside. But I think in RS3, I don't know if there are enough devs to be able to go through that additional step at the beginning to pitch it to the players, get the players to accept it, and then complete the project. I think there's an inefficiency there in terms of the way that RS3 has traditionally been run, which is I would imagine most of the stuff people are working on, if they work on it, she's coming out at some point.
Which I guess it has its ups and downs. You know, it has its ups and downs of like whether or not you like it, you are getting this update. And I think for a lot of things, this is again credit to the devs. The devs also play the game, right? And I imagine they know what the players are like. You know, they don't not have their hand on the pulse of the community. Like I said, I've heard the PVM. I've heard great things about the PVM in this game. Little surprised that a group boss wouldn't perform as well, but I think that's coming from a game where like Theater of Blood is like one of the most popular activities, and Yama is a duo boss, and even like mid-game duo bosses like Royal Titans have been extraordinarily popular in their releases. So a forced group boss or, you know, something like that seems strange that it would be voted against, though I guess in old school, like you can technically solo Tob, so it's not impossible to want to do something solo. But
yeah, for us, it's like this boss is forced group mechanics. It's a 5-person boss. You could do it with 2 and it would be like stabbing pins in your eyes. But yeah, it's like, and it's also worth noting to context, we don't have a grouping system that works, and we don't have matchmaking or anything like that. So you can't just join an open lobby and do it. So because of that,
we kind of do. We have like raid lobbies, but not really, you know.
It'd be hard to boss with randoms for this boss. Like you actually kind of, either you have friends that you play with, but there are a lot of reasons why in the RS3 community, people, I mean, I love group bosses, but I think as a community, there's no way it would pass a poll. I don't think it would even get 30% of the vote, because people that play solo, you vote in your own self-interest, right? That's kind of the whole point for a lot of players. Like, why should you have to worry about what's good for the sake of the game? The whole point of voting for a lot of people is to get updates that you want and not get updates that you don't want.
I think that's kind of like when we look at like group bosses, I think old school devs in the back of their mind, they balance that encounter and those mechanics so that you can solo it. Because you can kill Yama. He's our newest big demon boss. You can kill him solo. It just takes 11 minutes. You know, you can interact with the content as a solo player, but there's no incentive to do it. But it is a possibility. And if people are really like, you just don't have any friends that play, or you're not part of a community, you're not part of a clan, you can get through the game as a solo Iron Man player. Even in
I think
instances.
truly the only piece of content that has been released in the last maybe 5 or so years that you pretty much have to have more than one player, or you're going to be absolutely miserable. The two that come to mind are Nex and Tob. Unless you were in like the 0.0001% of players who can solo Nex or solo Theater of Blood, I think everything else can be done by yourself. So you do bring up a good point there that like if people are voting for solo content, the old school devs are very much like, yeah, well, this is a group boss that you can do by yourself if you really want to. But you know, it's not a forced group mechanic, I guess.
A counterpoint to that, though, is like with Nex, you have mass worlds that are almost always populated. So in that regard, you are kind of soloing it. It's just you have,
and then 416s. If you dare go down the route of the 416s for Theater of Blood, you can technically squad up with randoms, whether or not you want to.
And like communities have arisen to meet that need of, if I don't know what a mascot looks like with doing it with randoms, but if there was a dedicated world or somewhere on the forums, or, you know, a way that players could connect, you even said it yourself. You're like, I don't know if this is something you want to do with people you're not coordinated. That's something that has kind of organically sprouted up in the old school community with those forced group mechanics. Is everybody knows how to play. Everybody knows how to do a raid. If you're going to World 416, they know how to do the raid and not have to communicate with the other people that they're in. So it's essentially matchmaking, but a very manual process of doing it. And so I think that's kind of a cultural thing that has come around with with Old School and them giving us content that we've asked for. They like code in those fixes of you can solo it, but it's just going to suck. So there's no incentive to do it. But here's an easy way to find people to do it with. And here's,
I think that's
you know,
massively
yeah.
different too. And it's way better because you're not saying you're a solo player, you can't access the content, but you're saying if you're a solo player, it's not going to be fun, but you could technically still interact with this if you roll up. I think the thing about a mascot that makes it an incredible group boss is you got to be really coordinated with your teammates. Like there are mechanics that literally cannot be completed in a solo no matter what, because you have to coordinate with your team. And that's awesome. It's really fun for group people, but for a lot of the solo players that also a lot of RS3 players, you know, don't want to join a voice call or don't want to kind of put themselves out there. And I get it as a generally introverted person, I completely get it. And I think it's valid to not interact with group content if you don't want to, but also it's a good example of something that just would die with a polling system. It would never happen in a million years.
Well, with a polling system, the thing that like a counterpoint to that with polling, it forces it, and this sounds terrible, but it forces the devs to then reiterate in a way that would pass, you know? So like if they put a mascot in the game and now people are upset that you need 5 of your closest friends and you need to be in a VC and like you can't solo it. If they just put that in the game and people are upset, people are just not going to do it. But if you poll that and you say, these are the mechanics, what do you guys think? Give us feedback, vote yes or no, and say there's a lot of feedback and they're like, this needs to be soloable. We have a lot of balancing goes into like content where in Theater of Blood as a example, some of the mechanics are you have individual squares that you need to run to like eat the damage. Yeah. And so if they made that mechanic to where there was always 3 spots that you had to stand on, you would be like, a minimum of 3 people is needed, or I'm just going to insta kill myself. But in those instances, say in Top, where if there was 3 spots, well, now there's only 1 spot because you're soloing it. Everybody, you know, it's not forced to where there's always going to be 3 spots, and now you can't do this with less than 3 people. It's always scaled down. So an iteration of a mascot could have came out if the players gave feedback and they voted on it and they said, no, we want this to scale with the amount of people that you have, and it's not a forced, you need 5 people. The only thing that comes to mind that is a forced grouping mechanic in Old School is Barbarian Assault, because you literally need 5 people, and that experience sucks doing it with random people who aren't communicating. So I kind of have an understanding of what you're talking about with a mascot, where like I would never want to do Barbarian Assault with people that I'm not coordinating with, because that just does not sound like a good time.
Yeah, and you know what? You bring up a really good point, which is in this hypothetical world, a mascot gets pulled. The feedback is we don't want another group boss because it's really hard to get in groups. And then maybe we get a better grouping system because of that.
Yeah.
Maybe we get, because the feedback was we can't do a group boss that people will enjoy or vote for. Yep. So I get that, and I'm on board. I think that's a really good point, that like it's not necessarily like a binary pass fail and that's it. If it's a conversation and a dialogue that evolves over time, it would potentially allow a refinement process to make a piece of content less abrasive for more people so it passes. So yeah, I definitely get it.
And that's often how it goes in Old School, where they'll give us a pitch of something that is either like totally game breaking or it's just kind of a little weird, and we'll have that conversation as a community with them, and over time it will shift into something more palatable, which is usually pretty nice.
So this is probably the most stark example of the differences in the polling system versus not. Old School's first new skill has been on the table since 2022, 2023.
Rip warding.
I think it was
2018.
So yeah. So this process has gotten so, I don't want to say convoluted. It's not convoluted. They know exactly what they're doing, but every minute detail of this new skill is getting pulled. And there has been stuff that has passed. There's been stuff that has not passed. But for the most part, the cycle of updates goes poll blog, feedback, revised poll blog, feedback, and maybe another revised poll blog. But like there's like, it could be an endless cycle of blog, feedback, But then eventually they get to the point where it's like poll blog and then poll. And the questions that are on the poll have been pre-polled to where it's probably a yes. Yes is like, it's going to be a blanket yes. There still are things that like I vote no to. But for the most part, it's idea, feedback, change it, mold it, and then ultimately they just give it up. You guys have the final say. So whereas in RS3, a new skill comes out, you guys don't even know you know nothing about it. You wake up on a random Wednesday, and boom, necromancy. Where
so there are a lot of rounds of feedback, I will say. They're called RCEs, which is right-click examines. So what they do is a couple months before content drops, they'll give you a lot of details about it. And it's not a poll, but it's this is where the JMods who are working on this are going to be hanging out. Go on Reddit, go on this Discord channel, discuss with them, and they're looking for feedback. So there is a refinement process. It's just a lot less rigid than a poll. But I mean, I like what you've described with the refinement process and then a final poll that probably passes. Like, I think that would probably be pretty cool for RSC. I still don't think it's without fault, but it would be really interesting.
Yeah.
My one thing when I hear you talking about all these blogs and reblogs is like, bro, the community team would need to double in size to be able to accommodate that. And that's just a reality of the cost of doing it that way. It's one of those things. It's something that is in old school's bag of tricks, and I don't know that it's in RS3's right now. And that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Well, here's hoping after this league, maybe there will be a bit of an uptick in that, because I realize that we have gotten wildly off topic, which is wonderful because I love having these conversations with guests. But talking about, the league and how we think it will impact that long term, maybe you guys will get a little bit of that old school magic, because now you might have a little bit of the old school player base.
Yeah.
And in turn, a little bit of the old school money. Realistically, like, I think Jagex, and I don't know if you as an RS3 player feel the same way. I think Jagex is aware that RS3 is where they keep their whales, right? I imagine RS3 is where they keep most of their money coming in. We throw fits when they even pitch changing membership prices. Michael and I were so pissed off. We released an episode that day when we got the notification that like they might change membership prices. People cancel their memberships, or there's riots in Falador. Like, old school players don't love spending a bunch of money. Whereas in RS3, with the regularity, the microtransactions, I'm sure Jagex is aware that they probably make more money in RS3. Does that make sense?
Revenue-wise, it does make sense. So revenue-wise, old school generates more than RS3, I believe. And RS3's microtransaction revenue is down year over year, because if every year you lose 10% of your whales and you're not acquiring new players, every year you're going to have fewer whales. And that's sort of what my inclination would be as to what's happening. I will also say the MTX, it's kind of a tough one, because when you pull the RS3 community about MTX stuff, because that's happened recently, because they're talking about reducing and removing MTX, which would be awesome, by the way, and getting rid of all the gambling mechanics that piss everybody off and are the main reason I play an Iron Man most days. I think one of the things that comes up is you've got a really bad selection bias, because if you're pulling RS3 players who clearly still play the game about what they think about MTX and if it would make them quit the game, they're likely, like, the poll results have come in and it's like, oh, half of the RS3 player base doesn't hate MTX. And it's like, well, yeah, you're polling the tiny group that has put up with it for 10 years and has found it okay. You're not reaching the millions of people that quit the game and won't start playing the game because of it. And it makes it really, really tough to make changes to things like MTX, because if you just look at the data and don't parse it a bit, it's like, oh, this audience seems like they're a little open to microtransactions. And it's like, yeah, this is the tiny group that is, not the ocean of people that aren't, who already left because of it. It makes it very complicated. But I will say, in general, the sentiment on MTX and RS3 is nobody likes it. Like, there are people that use it and engage with it. There are people that engage with it and also hate that they engage with it. But it is not a microtransactions positive game. It hasn't been for ever, at any point, I would say. So even though we've lost a lot of people to it, and a lot of the people left are people that are open to it, no, it's not massively dissimilar to old school with regard to how the community reacts to things. When that survey came out, by the way, that's why I stopped being a JMod. I
Really?
stepped down.
No shit.
Yeah, I that was when I stepped down.
Wow.
Because
So you took your stand. You actually took a stand, which is
it pissed me off so
Yeah,
much
bravo,
because
That's it. We can't ever shit on RS3 again. The fucking JMod's quit because of the dumbass survey. Thank you. Oh my God.
like, yeah, my thing with that survey is it came out of nowhere. It's dropped on everybody's head. And then I felt like I was in a really weird spot because all of the JMods, like when you're in crisis comms, like you want to protect the people. So you don't have people going out in the community. My job is streaming, but I'm also a JMod. So I just became a lightning rod for people yelling at me about the survey that I had nothing to do with. And
that sucks.
I didn't feel, but also as a JMod, if I said something about the survey in a really negative way, I felt like it wouldn't be creator speaks out. It would be JMod speaks out against his own whatever. And it would have become something that I wasn't comfortable with. So I kind of just did some reflecting, and over a few weeks I was like, maybe the answer is I just shouldn't be a JMod. So I stepped down immediately following that, and then made a video talking about how it was like the stupidest, dumbest survey in human history and it needed to die.
That is
wow.
what a man.
I will say I
so
still
much
work
respect
with
for you.
Jagex. I will say, so I still do contract work as a creator for them. For some mornings every week. So yeah, I still have a relationship with them. But yeah, I am immediately stepped down following that survey just to not push back on the idea that RS3 players are cool with more, because I don't think we are. I think it's just we might be more used to getting the short end of the stick though.
I take it you saw the No Monkey video where he was like, RS3 players, you guys have to like demand more out of your JMods. You have to demand more and stop demanding these like poor updates, because I have so many questions about like what would you want to see more. But I guess now that we're talking about that topic, like how do you feel when an old school creator, whether it's No Monkey or Foe or Oxie and Michael from the Xpwaste podcast, give these critiques about this game and say like you guys need to do X?
I think it depends on the way that this feedback is conveyed, but I think it's generally awesome. Like, I think Fo said he's going to make a video on RS3 and his experience. And like, I hope everyone at Jagex watches it and they actually plan updates to fix the game based on his feedback. Genuinely, I think it's that important. And he has such a strong voice. And he's going to make a very well thought out video that is well conveyed with a lot of his experience as to why he had trouble with the game, the things that he liked, the things that didn't. That's super valuable. That's great. I love that. I do not want any beef with No Monkey whatsoever here. I actually discussed his video. I watched it on stream. I discussed it with him off stream as well. He had me for the first 21 minutes. I was like, yes, I agree with everything he is saying. I was not on board with the end part of his video where he kind of put it on the RS3 player base, because I think it is more of a managerial thing than a player base thing. Like, I don't think we're tolerant of shit content. I don't think we're tolerant of bullshit. I think we make our voices heard the best way we possibly can.
I heard about the hero pass, so I've heard about that. So I know you guys can't put your foot down and say no. We're not putting up with that shit.
Yeah, that was one thing I disagreed with. I didn't like the component of blaming the player base for the state of the game when higher ups years ago seemingly decided to turn this into a mobile game that has whales and has mobile microtransactions, and it's like, the player base never wanted that. We didn't ask for that. We put our foot down. We canceled memberships over that. We quit for that. There's a reason the player base isn't growing and is, has been before leagues lower than it has been in previous years. And it's because people have been voting with their wallets. But as long as whales and MTX exist, it feels like nobody gives a shit that people are quitting because the whales are still whaling. And that may not be factual, but that's what it feels like. So anyway, I thought the first 20 minutes of his video was exceptional, but I didn't agree with the RS3 players need to demand more from their JMods. I think it is a lot more complicated than that. But also, I discussed this with him privately, and we're super cool. There is zero beef. I have a lot of respect for him as a creator. I find it tough when sometimes people cover the game that I've been playing forever, and sometimes, I mean, honestly, this was not an egregious example whatsoever. I remember once there was someone, now I'm starting beef with other creators. There was a well-known MMO reviewer that reviewed RS3 and made a video where he was complaining about a bunch of shit that we already have. Like, he was listening to my interface setup video and complaining about how hard it is to set up an interface while the interface share and load button was on his screen. And it was that kind of
Oh,
video
no.
where he just did zero research at all and then complained about a bunch of shit. It was clearly made for old school people to watch and be like, yeah, fuck RS3, man. And his like ultimate solution for RS3 was effectively like, the game should be sunset. Yep. That's my review
What
of
a
RS3.
terrible take.
Because he put no effort into learning it, and he also didn't do any research. And like,
Wow.
so I get a little nervous sometimes when people cover RS3 because it is financially beneficial to cover it in a way that is negative and in a way that shits on it. Because the old
Damn.
school audience is bigger than the RS3 one.
You're so
by a long
right.
shot.
God, the old school audience fucking hates RS3. Even we've warned our people for like 2 weeks now. We're like, hey, on the weekend of like October 5th, when this episode comes out on the 9th or whatever it is, we're gonna be talking about RS3. We've been warning them for weeks that this episode is coming.
Oh, no.
The last time we've hit like a bit of a dry patch in old school when it comes to updates. Like we know they're prepping for sailing.
Yeah.
So the updates have been like interface updates. That's it. Like we fixed the fire cape, stopping animating when we teleport. That's it. So we're like, yeah, we'll talk about Lee's Catalyst. Holy shit. That was a rough episode. Because it had been like when Catalyst was like just first announced, and we just got that blog saying that we're getting a league. No information on what was happening in the league, what the theme was, what the relics were, what the rewards were. So it was hard to speculate, and it was mainly just trying to convince the player base to like, yeah, fuck it. Go ahead, give it a try, see what happens. And it was tough. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are things that I am not a fan of in this game. But I think the things that I have not been a fan of, both in the main game and in the league, are not hot takes. The daily scape is egregious. Are you kidding me? What? Why do I want to do all that? Like, you're that obsessed with keeping me playing the game that you're going to make me feel bad when I skip it? Like, I even felt it on the way home the other day. I'm like, damn, I didn't do my Reaper task for today. And I thought to myself, wait a second, don't do that.
Yep.
I was driving home from fencing. I'm like, don't worry about the fact that you haven't done your Reaper task. Don't fall into that trap. You don't care about that. It's temporary game mode. The MTX is ridiculous. The daily scape is ridiculous. I don't think the combat's that big of a deal anymore. I really don't.
The combat
I don't
system,
think
it's hard to get into, but it's once you get into it, it is so fun. Like it
I
is
feel like
the
that's how
reason
it
I
is in
play
old school,
RS3. It is sick. It is. The thing about old school is I feel like it's a little easier to tell what's going on because you're ultimately a guy hitting and shooting a projectile and stabbing with a sword.
There are like fighting Rex Matriarchs, fighting Archglacior. I feel like obviously with some mechanics, like with KBD, I know what to expect. We've got the poison breath, the ice breath, the fire breath, because I know it from old school. But the animations look so different. You know, like there's no like, I've noticed there's not really shadows where projectiles are going to land, at least in the bosses that I've fought before. It doesn't always seem like you know where things are. You have to know the attack is coming. You have to know what direction to leave in. So it seems overwhelming at first, but with a little bit of practice. Like I have a buddy, actually one of our GIM mates, Ralph. He was a big RS3 player, and sitting with him and having him like help me rework my Revolution hotbar and like changing keybinds to be a little bit more ergonomic. Like combat makes way more sense with what I'm working with now.
Sweet. Shout out to him. I mean, to be honest, you need someone like that. Most RS3 players either like I just got sent a clip and it was we wrote a combat guide for the website that we made just to help people get into combat, and we had a breakdown of every single melee ability in the game. I got sent a clip and it was foe killing Vindicta, and he's got the game minimized into this tiny little box, and he's got my website full screen and he's reading about every single ability, and it's like, unless you're gonna do that, which nobody wants to do, respectfully, you basically need someone that knows how to do it to hop on a call, look at your bar, be like, bro, your bar is trash. Swap that for that. You'll be cooking. And then you'll be good. But
yeah, because the auto revolution is it's helpful, but it's overwhelming.
Yeah, it's all tough. It's all fixable stuff. And I'm hoping like this is something about MTX. And this is like either people are gonna be like, wow, Ryan, 5-head, or like, okay, Ryan, you're an idiot for this one. But I think that because of MTX, everyone who plays Mainscape randomly has all of their skills in the 70s. because they used daily treasure hunter keys. You guys probably have an RS3 account. Welcome. You probably have a bunch of, you're probably 85 divination. You don't even know what the skill does.
I'm like 56 divination.
Yeah, we're
not
cooking.
the foggiest fucking clue.
Easy.
I have no idea. I had Protean embers or something, and I used them all at the Grand Exchange during double XP weekend because my friends who also played RS3 were like, oh my god, do this thing, and I just bop, and was like, okay, what is the benefit of this?
So
I don't get it.
Because of that, I think that a lot of the early game in RS3, especially with combat, is just really has not been looked at in forever because no one has been there in forever. So having 50k players restart as an Iron Man and immediately go, what is going on? How has this not been looked at? I think it could actually result in the early game being improved a lot, and a lot of these onboarding issues that you don't experience with MTX because you power through all of it and you're into the late mid game before you've even played the game. I could see it being made so much better. And once again, to me, it's a spillover effect of MTX because old school would never not look at the early game. But if they had early game skips,
sometimes they look at it too much. They look at it too much sometimes.
But if old school, if you could log in and buy an account with 60 stats across the board, after 10 years of that, you would probably see the early game not getting a lot of love, and you'd probably end up in this situation. And that's effectively what we've done here. So anyway, that's another reason I'm very stoked about Leagues. It's like the no MTX is good, the Iron Man is good, the actual looking at player path and player progression, and like some of the prog paths for certain combat styles are so bad, and it's just it's gonna be good. Hopefully, Copium.
I guess hey, if it's Copium that works, I'm not gonna yuck your yum. You know, if this is what RS3 needs to bring people over, that's great. I don't think I'm coming over to RS3. I think I'm far too invested on my old school accounts to make the switch. And I also think low key I've kind of fucked up my main account by using all these like Protean things. I have no clue. I maybe one day I will send you a video of my bank in RS3 just for laughs, and you can look and go, what in the hell is all that stuff in there? Because good question. I don't know. I guess when it comes to the actual league itself, we've offered a couple of critiques, but we're big fans of critiques with some solutions. You know, we'd like to be meta about it and offer a solution, even though you didn't ask. What would you want to see changed in this league going forward into the next one? What are some things that you want to come back? What are some things you don't want to come back? Things that need a little bit of tweaking? Top of your mind, what you got?
So first one, area locking. I agreed with your point about it's good that the world is open. If I remember correctly, I'm about to pull in some deep old school knowledge here. First old school
the deep
league,
lore.
Was it not forced area locked, but everyone was locked to the same area?
Forced area locked to Zaya, which was new at the time.
And then it opened up over time, correct? So once you got to the higher tiers, you got more of the world?
No, that was just Zaya.
The first league was
one region.
It would be like Leagues Anachronia, and you just sit on fucking Anachronia.
Okay, maybe that's a bad idea then. But what I was thinking is to help people onboard into the game, I would have done area locking, but every tier you go up, you pick another region, so that everyone starts in a small area, and then you build out, and by the time you reach tier 7, you've got the whole game world. And then that way, you're kind of spoon-feeding people RuneScape, so it's less overwhelming for new players. That was my thought about how area locking could have been done. So it's not a decision you have to lock yourself into permanently, but it's a way to spoon-feed people content as opposed to just shoveling so much that people quit. That's a minor one, but on the area locking, I mean, we brought it up an hour ago, so I figured I'd finish that thought. Okay, big ones. I mean, the biggest thing this league I think could have benefited from is more dev time. Like, I hated that there were so few PVM tasks. I hated that there were 0 skill check related tasks. Like, it's all grind this, grind that, kill this 100 times.
What are examples of things that you would want to implement for RS3? You talk about skill checks and PVM tasks.
Like, we have a great intricate combat achievement system. There are a couple bosses that have league points associated with complete every combat achievement for this boss, except it also doesn't just include the combat achievements. It includes the regular achievements, of which there's one to do 100 kills. So effectively, you've got a full dungeon that takes 15 minutes to do, 20 minutes to do. It would be a really fun skill check to try to get the Grandmaster timer as a Leagues task and all of the other stuff. But once you've got your Grandmaster timer and you've worked for it, you've got to then do this dungeon 99 more times to get the points. fuck is that, bro? No one's doing that. Absolutely no one is going to grind a boss 100 times, especially when drop rates are boosted. You're going to have it green logged by kill 20 just to get the points.
They'll do it if they're separate tasks.
Yeah, exactly.
Get the GM task, get the main item, and then kill it 50, 100, 250 times. Because as someone who killed so many fucking God Wars dungeon bosses in RuneScape or old school RuneScape leagues past, where I already have full Bandos, I just need 120 more kills. Let me go claw them out a couple of times. You know, that makes sense, but just bunch it all into one task
because
doesn't
it's
seem
all
like very well thought
bunched.
out.
There's nothing that is skillfulness related. There was no 4K Glacier, there was no 4K Telos, there wasn't a single Zamorak task, there wasn't a single Solak task, and it's like there are combat achievements for all of these in the live game, and some of them are really cool and would have been really fun to do in an overpowered leagues. So that's one thing, is I just felt like the task distribution was brutal. There are more tasks relating, more points relating to mining and smithing specifically than PVMing. And it's
the mining points are ridiculous.
Why are there
I feel like you can
6,000
get to
mining
tier
points?
4 just getting to 99 mining. You could get to tier 4. Like that's how it's felt the whole league. Like mining is the thing to train.
It feels like some areas of the world were very, very well fleshed out and covered, and like it's like half of the regions of the game just no one looked at because clearly it's a time thing. So that's one thing, is I wish the league had been delayed a month. I think it could have been so much better. Aside from the kind of weird tasks and weird point distributions and kind of lack of balance there, like there are so many regions of RuneScape that just aren't touched in this league at all. The Arc is like a significant percentage of the game map, not a single league's task there for that entire region. It's like it was just forgotten. Yeah, the Arc. Someone in your comments will know what that is. But it's like a series of islands. You're gonna probably have it with sailing. Actually, they're like the Forgotten Islands, and you can go between 5 of them, and there are different training spots there, and you can actually claim an island to yourself.
Is it related to this Uncharted map I found while mining?
That thing. Yeah, that's the Arc.
I don't know what the hell this
That'll
thing
take you
is.
to the
I was
Arc.
literally Googling it during the episode.
It's sick. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
It's a really cool place. But yeah, there's just no tasks. I won't beat a dead horse on that. I think the other ones. So that's one, is I would have wanted to see more time on that. Relic balance we touched on a bit, but a lot of the time, some of the relics are just really weak, especially on the combat side. I think in old school, people were telling me that by the time you're tier 7, you're doing more damage than a maxed best in slot main with like bronze daggers.
You are a god. You are a god by the time you hit tier 7, tier 8. There are, I think last league we had the options of like special attack them into oblivion and then kill yourself, respawn right there and do it again. Spawn a thrall that does like 15 damage, which I don't know how you relate that to constitution stats in RS3, but like that's a pretty hefty amount of damage if you got a 15 max hit. Or just have an insta-kill button with the Executioner's Axe, where like once it hits like a 20 or 30% threshold, you just put the axe on and deal like 1,000 damage and kill it.
Yeah, so that's an example. Like the power component. I know a lot of RS3 players quit the league because of the power aspect. And just for context, a top RS3 player in the live game probably does 800,000 damage per minute. And a top player in the league probably does 1.1 million damage per minute with tier 7 and all of the best relics. And then a not super good player in the league, probably does 300,000 damage per minute. So they're more than 2 times weaker than just a good player in the regular game. Wow. And I think that is a huge catastrophic miss in terms of making people feel powerful, because the relics, especially combat, they're just not nearly strong enough. Everyone should have got extra base damage. Everybody should have got lifesteal across the board. And then the specific styles should have had extra stuff that were specific to the styles. So that would be probably my biggest one, is just people were way too weak combat-wise. And it kind of felt like it doesn't feel like a league's based on what old school people have told me a league is supposed to feel like.
Yeah, how do you feel about the quests?
Yep, I was gonna say, if I'm allowed to take one more shot at the league before we say some good things about it too. I was annoyed by the quest thing personally, because it's so obviously to me not leagues. No one joins the leagues to do quests. It's very well known in old school. Clearly, quests are auto-completed in old school, but the reasoning given was because of the area restrictions, you kind of have to. And I think something was clearly lost in translation there, where it's like, oh, no area restriction, so we don't need to auto-complete quests. That's very clearly what happened. And I think it is, we talked earlier, I think you'd mentioned something about how RS3, I think Oxie mentioned, like, the devs, have the have a good understanding of the community and what they want. And I think that holds true most of the time. But I think this feels like a huge miss. The idea that people wanted to play a limited time accelerated game mode and grind a freaking... There's a task for Leagues that requires a quest cape.
Oh no.
Not one task for
That's
Zamorak,
crazy.
but we've got a fucking quest cape task. And it just,
What?
it feels like,
Nah,
which by the way,
that
like
ain't-
you can offer that if you want and some crazy person's going to do it. And that's like, I don't mind that it exists as a task, but it feels like there was not a lost in translation, but it kind of feels like people that were like, either it's just a time thing, which could have been, maybe just didn't have time, but it also, because of all the tasks that are quest related, it kind of feels like there was a lack of maybe deep understanding as to what a Leagues is and why people like playing it. And also I'll mention for chat or for your comments, like the main reason I think most people don't like quests in a Leagues is because everything is accelerated. You get accelerated XP rewards from a quest, which is cool, but the quest itself isn't sped up. It's not like the quest is faster.
Nope.
And because of that, it feels 1,000 times slower than everything else you're doing. And yeah, I think there were probably 10% of the quests auto-skipped and 90% in the game. It should have been the opposite. What I would have done for quest skips is, if you want to not quest skip while Guthic sleeps, quest skip all of the prereqs. So that if I want to do while Guthic sleeps, a Grandmaster endgame quest, and I want to get 10 million XP for it, let me do that. Don't make me play through 1999 to 2008 of random quests that haven't been updated in forever. Don't make me do Legends
There are
quests again.
So many.
Don't make me do.
Oh my god! No thanks, dude.
And I say
And when
this
you
as
when you
someone-
unlock a
yeah.
region, when you unlock a region in old school, pretty much like the premier quest in that area is unlocked. You do desert, you get Desert Treasure 2, which is our Temple of Sentistan.
Yeah.
You do Tiranwin, you get Song of the Elves, which is our Plague's End. Like you get, these regions are just auto completed as you go, or the quests are auto completed when you unlock these regions.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you also felt it was a little weird that why do we have so many quests to do? Like, I've been loving the Fort Forenthrei storyline just because I like build my own little fort.
Yeah.
Like, that's a shit ton of fun. Really liking that. But damn, without quest helper, these quests are taking forever.
Yeah, it's without a doubt it's a big miss. I'm not gonna try to rationalize it or justify it. I think it probably happened because of region locking not being a thing, so it probably just slipped under the radar and came up too late. But it to me, they should have delayed Leagues in order to implement more quest skips if they realized at the last second. Because before Leagues came out, everyone was like, "What's happening with quest skips? What's happening with quests?" Like before it came out, people were freaking out about it. And I think obviously it's super hard to make that decision to delay a piece of content, and maybe it would have been worse off, but I think the League would have been a lot better with more quest skips. So it's a learning for Leagues 2 though, and I think we will get a Leagues 2. And Leagues 2, if I've got to do 150 quest points in Leagues 2 just to get through this, I am going to be very unhappy.
I don't doubt it.
I think the thing that has been nice about the League's journey that we've had in old school is the pain points from the previous league get addressed, and then that just becomes a staple thing. An example of that, if you can believe it, in the very first old school league, unlimited run was a relic choice.
Yep.
It was a tier one choice.
Run is a much more valuable commodity in old school than it is in RS3.
Like, I didn't choose the unlimited run. I was not an endless run gang. I was a prayer gang, and that means nothing to you, but like, it made me not play the first ever league because I chose the wrong first relic. And that was a major thing moving forward, is they had so much feedback. They had, I'm sure they had like many focus group sessions of like, did you play Leagues? What did you hate? What did you love? And then in Leagues 2, unlimited run was just given to everyone. So there's a pattern. There's a repeatable pattern that they can pull from our progression with Leagues, and they can do that with RuneScape 3. And it's really just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
And if it's bad, fix it. And if it's good, improve on it. So next league, I'm sure, going to be so much better. And then the exciting thing is if this progression moves forward through RuneScape 3, you guys will have way more resources put into it. Because like this first league, it's very similar to what we experienced in our first league. It's like so much of this was just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. And luckily, they did ours in more of a controlled manner where they just gave us Zaya, where it was cool because people were able to max their accounts in this one region. There was enough.
I think that's the big difference. Is
That's
we
really
joke
cool.
about like Leagues, Anachronia. How do you train divination on Anachronia? How do do summoning on Anachronia?
Yeah.
I don't understand these things to begin with.
not
but
terribly
like,
well.
How do you train? Yeah, how do you train rune crafting on an island like this? Like Zaya has everything for people to train.
It has a little bit of everything, which was the point. So like for agility, people had to spend egregious amount of hours just jumping between pillars in Wintertodd. That was the agility training. So it like maxing wasn't ideal in the first league, but it was possible. And there was a lot of throwing shit at the wall, seeing what sticks, and moving forward from that. And now we have an experience like we did in our last week where we have 7 new bosses with new mechanics. So
yeah,
I'm
that's
hoping,
good to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that like the progression of RuneScape 3 Leagues isn't as slow as what we've had to deal with, because we're on like our 5th or 6th, right? And now
this will be League 6 when next time they release one.
League 6, they've got all the kinks worked out. It's just they can focus on making it fun. I'm hoping that for RuneScape 3 Leagues, it's not like by the 6th iteration you're having fun. I'm hoping by iteration 2, 3, 4, like way sooner. I'm hoping that it's going to be more fun quicker.
That has me excited for RS3 Leagues 2, assuming it happens, because to me, it would be so easy to make it a slam dunk. Like there are so many very clear, very obvious, being yelled at from all directions pieces of feedback that would be so easy to address in such a short amount of time. Like it actually has me really excited for the next league, because I mean, the other way of looking at it is, despite, some things not being perfect, like this league was fundamentally good and fun. And I think ultimately the fact that it's close to really, really, really great is good. Like there are some big misses, but they're not egregious misses. They're like, you need to fiddle with some numbers kind of misses, right? Like the idea itself works, the concept works, Leagues works with this game. And I think those were the more contentious, kind of more questionable things, is like, is RS3 going to work with Leagues? I think the answer to that resoundingly is yes. They could make it better very easily, and they should, and it's going to be amazing.
That's good. That seems like a very optimistic note to end this first segment on. So I guess to briefly wrap things up, Ryan, do you have any final thoughts about the RS3 League for the old school community specifically, maybe people who haven't tried it yet or only tried it for a little bit?
Yeah, of course. I think as an RS3 player, I've talked a couple times throughout the show about looking at things that old school gets and being like, man, I wish we could get that, but we won't because it's RS3. And in the last year and a bit, we've now had Group Iron Man come out, and then we've got our first ever leagues. So it really does feel like a turning of the tides with regard to how RuneScape 3 is being treated. We're starting to get some of the good stuff. And I think if you've been scared or apprehensive to try RS3, Leagues is a really good way to get that early experience and get an idea of what it's like. This league was far from perfect, but most things are far from perfect. And this was a really fun experience. It's been really fun as well, just getting to interact with the old school community. Honestly, it's been nice getting to know so many people, because old school community is really nice. And there's been so much animosity between the two games for absolutely no reason. So yeah, if you want to try it, come on down. If you don't want to try it, don't come on down. Live your life, do your thing. Agency is cool.
When does the league end? End of October? Or we still have some time to try it if you haven't already?
We got some time. I think we're less than 3 weeks into it. So you've still got, I should have 3 weeks. So yeah, till the end of October.
So by the time this episode comes out, y'all have a lot of time to go give it a try. Highly recommend it. Odd little note that I kind of validated my like, oh, this league is for old school players as much as it is RS3 players. They spawn you in Lumbridge when you make your character. They don't spawn you in Berthorpe like every other new RS3 account. They spawn you in Lumbridge to be familiar for the old school players. So I think that's cool. Go check it out. We are going to head to break here very soon. I am sad to report that this October, probably not going to do any Halloween commercials. Last year, I know we went kind of hard, but this year, probably not going to happen. So I hate to end it on a lower note, but this has been an excellent conversation. Ryan, thank you so much for chatting with us. We're going to come back and do some of the usual community bits. You guys know what we do and don't do when we have guests. So we'll be back after this.
Hi, my name is Dominic Onion. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about my newest endeavor, the Nightmare.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an important safety announcement. Attention. This is a message from the Gillinor Protection Agency. Following the nearly cataclysmic events of the Final Dawn, researchers with the Gillinor Protection Agency discovered a demonic entity hiding beneath the ruins of Makayatl. Upon the discovery of its chamber, the entire research team was killed by the creature living within it. Ostoayak, known locally as the Doom, is a hyperlethal demonic anomaly that consumes any living creature that ventures too close to its lair. The few researchers who have survived the numerous visits to the ruins report that when sufficiently harmed, it burrows deeper underneath the ruined archive. Some researchers speculate a maximum depth of 237 kilometers below the surface, but such reports remain unconfirmed. The Gillinor Protection Agency urges adventurers in particular to stay away from the ruins at all costs. Observations by the Gillinor Protection Agency reveal that in combat, the Doom is highly resistant to traditional weaponry, though preliminary data suggests that rare Demon Bane class weapons are particularly effective. The Gillinor Protection Agency thanks you for your cooperation. You will now be returned to your regularly scheduled broadcast.
Won't let me inside, so I set up shop right outside the front gate. Come pay me a visit. Hey!
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that commercial because I know that I sure did. Gotcha again, bitch. It's the Xpwaste podcast, and you have me as a co. You think we're not doing Halloween commercials? Are you kidding me? How could you ever have taken me seriously there? Of course we're doing Halloween commercials. What? Who do you take me for? Anyways, it's time to thank the patrons. As you guys know, in the second half of the episode, when we have a guest, we do like to keep it a little bit more streamlined. However, when it comes to thanking the patrons, we can't not do that. So we are going to try to shout out the patrons who joined last month. There is currently a list on screen of our wise old man patrons. Now, normally we shout out the new patrons who subscribed within the last week at the wise old man tier. Unfortunately, if you guys remember from last week, there was no episode last week. And despite shouting the people out, that information is lost to time. So if you're like, I subscribed and they didn't shout me out, honestly, blame RS guy. We don't know what he did to our files, but they don't work. So big shout out to our new wise old man patrons, which I believe are Staunch Koala, It's Body, Trevor M, and I know there is at least one more of you. I know there's one more of you, and we're gonna figure it out who it is. I just don't know who. Why did I get the notification from my OBS? Somebody follow me on Twitch. I just got the follow notification from OBS. That's weird.
I had to turn off my overlays before this recording because in the test recording, I have a bunch of commands for how to train skills in leaks. So there are people in my chat all the time and they pop up on my screen. So you would just be getting barraged with people doing I'm looking up at it. I've got a prompter. It's like exclamation point fletching, exclamation point prayer, exclamation just the whole way down.
that would have been so funny just to be helpful throughout the episode. The people that are watching it on YouTube, that'd be great.
Perfect.
But thank you to our wise old men. If I missed you, I'm sorry. Again, RS.
Yeah, that one's on me. I will take full
wonderful.
responsibility. If you want to sue me and stuff, that's fine too. Just the email in the description. You can email me.
You can sue him by signing up for patreon.com/RS guy, and you can file a complaint with your debit card. There.
I do not have a Patreon. Perfect. Someone's gonna make that and make bank. You know what? Get your bag, King. Go ahead.
Twitch.tv/RS guy. Hit the subscribe button. It will take you right to his manager, and you can complain there directly. But thank you so much to our wise old men who subscribe and listen. Some of which are joined today in the recording booth chat. We did a bit of an earlier recording, so we're not as full as we normally are. However, the Sunday Raiders have been going up all day today. Discord implemented a new feature, and it shows you how long people have been in VC for. So when I look at the usual suspects down in the Gray Wizard who have been there for 6.5 hours.
That's crazy.
Doing content. Cloud, Raccoon, Riley, Presty, you guys are gaming 6.5 hours. The Sunday Raiders are in though. Join our Discord. It's awesome. I feel like I'm blending Achievement of the Week and this together at the same time. I don't want to do that. 0x00_T, however you say that name, just got a fire cape though in the chat. So it's kind of like Achievement of the Week. I'm getting so off topic for the patrons.
You're so distracted.
It is time. Man, what do you want from me? The unchecked theatrical, the ADHD? I'm sorry. I'm trying my best. Not really. I'm just making shit up. It's time to shout out the other folks in our Patreon, and starting with the KBD tier, the folks who, as we always say, used to be the top dogs, but now are no longer such, and their biggest perk is getting their name read out because they are awesome. So we'd like to offer a huge shout out to Two to Fly, Six Dicks Insider, Brooks 70, my dad, hi dad, Cloud Kicker, Crash Out Jack, Elite Oreo Dunker, Glob Mob, who's actually new, I believe is a brand new Patreon supporter. Welcome to the party, Glob Mob. Kieran, our third favorite supporter, Ralph, Run Metal 15, Ryan M, Rylithian, Sparky Life, and the Big G Jordy. Thank you folks so much for your support at the KBD tier. We love you very dearly. You guys are great. Remember how I said some sentiments are better left short? When I lose track of my own thoughts, that's how we're getting there. It's like I forgot how to navigate Patreon trying to figure out how to pull up the JAD tier. So in the meantime, you just get whatever unfiltered thoughts pop into my head. But I think we finally figured it out, and it's time to shout out our JAD tier patrons, the folks that support us at the highest tier, and the folks who very soon, maybe, is it about that time? The folks are getting their shirts very soon-ish?
Maybe.
We'll see. Michael and I have an idea of how to cook up a new Patreon shirt because there may or may not, possibly may, but possibly may not, be an IRL episode coming eventually.
Ooh.
Possibly, maybe, as a little teaser for you folks who stuck around for a little bit throughout the episode. But as a big shout out to our final tier, who might get their design done by Michael and I in person, we have Flood Day, Kyrandia, Mithril Fork, Petite River, Soggy Waffles, Sea Captain Satan 666, the S tier Deviled Egg, and Woloznik. Thank you folks so much for your unwavering support at the highest JAD tier. You guys are incredible. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the shirts that you've already gotten, and Michael and I are optimistic you're going to like the next ones. Do we have an idea for what the next one's going to look like? No. Do we have the potential to make it look incredible? We absolutely do, especially if we design it together. Because honestly, the last design Michael and I did together was the Cuthbert, the Pride Frog. The Pride merch Michael and I cooked up together, and that's been some of the best stuff that I think we've released in a while. Because I love that. I love that stuff. But yeah, if you want to support us on Patreon, head over to patreon.com/Xpwaste. You can subscribe for as little as $1 a month. Shout out to the Gnome Child tier. You can also technically follow us for free, but I got to level with you. I still don't know what you get from the free tier. And that's just what it is, I guess. I'm losing track. Normally, I would throw it over to Michael for the community question. We tend not to do the community question or achievement of the week when we have a guest. Once again, you can blame RS guy.
Yep.
It's a whole second half of this
messing
episode.
up everything too. The scheduling, it's just all a disaster.
This is fucking RS3. Am I right,
you
guys?
bring one RS3 player on and just everything goes awry. And you know what? It's deserved.
He wrote it in his contract. He said, I will do the show, but you cannot do community question or achievement of the week. And then in his greenhouse, in the green room, he wrote it again on a napkin.
Yep. I also put it in the contract as well. So
yeah, it's like he
The
doubled
only
up
thing
on
you
it.
could talk about are additional purchases you can make while listening to the show. And if that's not the most classic RS3 shit I've ever seen. we said we'd be nice to RS3 by the end of the episode. And honestly, I think the game deserves a little bit more love than what it's getting, because it does have a lot of super cool stuff. Specifically, I think old school players would like. I think culturally, there are so many things the people who play old school would be like, What do you mean you can just full AFK mining? Huh? You know,
Love that.
like it's an ideal, like a Silverhawk boot. What the hell is wrong with you? You have to suffer to train agility, you know?
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. That's first half of the episode content. But now in this second half, because we don't do some of our community questions, it only leaves one final segment for us to do. And that is, of course, the fun question. So before the episode, he was telling us that he had one. So Ryan, do you have a fun question for us this week?
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I'm not being put on the spot at all here. Not even a little bit.
Oxie would never put a guest on the spot with the fun question.
No, surely
I would
not.
never do that.
Can you give me an
Yeah. If you don't
example
have
of a
one-
fun question? I can come up with one.
We already gave you all the heads up you needed. We talked
So-
about
Oh
this
yeah,
during
in
the
the briefing package. Yeah. Got it. Yeah,
It's
of
in your
course.
contract.
So
Yeah, of course. I
an
forgot.
example of a fun question that I thought of that we could use in this episode, just in case you didn't come prepared like we talked about a week ago with your fun question, was what piece of content would you want to see that RS3 has that you think old school should have?
Ooh.
And then likewise, Michael, what piece of content do you think old school has that you think RS3 could get?
Ooh, I love
As
this.
we know, there've been a lot of crossover, right? Recently, you guys have gotten Vorkath and Zuck, and old school has gotten so much shit from RS3. We've gotten so many things that when you actually look in the nitty gritty of RS3, you're like, hey, why is this in RS3? We got this update in 2022. Nope, that was added in 2015.
Y'all been
We're
out
just
here
late to the
copying
party.
us for sure. Like it's crazy.
Oh my God, so much between the Hydrix and the silver jewelry and all. We've been copying a lot, but
Yep. You got a snake boss. Ours was first. You guys have Nex. Ours was first. You guys have Nightmare. We have Angel of Death. Same shit, just different. Y'all been stealing some content.
Hey, we're getting Aqua Knights. Can you believe it?
Wow.
and lava strike worms and frost dragons.
Holy.
They're taking so much shit just from RS3 for sailing. It's
Okay, wait, that's for sailing?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, the brand new Slayer boss is coming. You need like a sailing requirement to get to. Aqua Knights, frost dragons, lava strike worms, all coming from sailing.
I think I know why, and I just realized it. So RS3, you guys may not know this. This might be confident. Whatever, it's fine. I'll say it. When sailing got voted, RS3 lost some devs to sailing.
What?
A number of did people not know
No
this?
kidding.
Whatever, it's probably fine.
No.
But yeah, a number
What
of
the hell?
the RS3 devs actually left RS3 and were put on sailing. So RS3's team actually got slimmer when sailing came out.
By choice, or they were told
no,
hey,
they
you're
were
switching over.
They were told to switch over.
Here's the thing.
That's crazy.
I'll dispel the magic. Here's the thing. It's probably not because of content. It's probably because you guys do new skills like none other. So then it's like, I don't know, advisory. Like, how do we navigate doing a new skill? That's
No, it
probably
makes-
what
It's the
it
best
was.
of the
It
best.
makes sense. It's
Yeah.
design stuff too. But also RS3 didn't get new people.
Oh no!
like genuinely.
We straight up scalped their fucking.
Yeah, no, we genuinely lost devs and are like the we're still short on those. Like we lost them like a year ago.
They'll be back.
Just
Sailing's
saying,
coming
like,
out soon. They'll be
I
back.
do I do actually think they get to come back after.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
but you telling me that there's a bunch of RS3 stuff coming with sailing, and I'm like, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense considering
Oh my gosh.
one of the devs you guys got. He's a good friend of mine. Shout out Mod Shogun. He's an absolute. He's great.
Oh, Shogun.
Super nice
I've heard of
dude.
him.
Yeah. He's working on sailing. He's said that's publicly somewhere. If he hasn't, we can pretend like he has, so it's fine.
I mean, he probably was at Runefest doing the sailing demos.
Yeah, I think he was wearing one of the hats. I think so. Yeah. So we should be chilling. But either way, like on
That's
RS3,
funny.
he did some boss design, he did some stuff like that. But he also he did a lot of Slayer related content.
Oh, cool.
That he made. He'd been in RS3 for years and years and years. So I'm hearing you guys
closing
are
the
getting
loops.
Slayer mobs, and I'm like, okay, that says Shogun all over it. So yeah, no, shout out to
Well,
him.
okay. Fun question. Okay, fun question. Do you want me to go first, Ryan?
Yeah,
or do you
go
want to go
ahead.
first?
I
Okay.
can go first. It's up to you. Whatever you want.
Well, I'll just get it out on the table. The thing that RuneScape 3 needs that OSRS has without question, if nothing else, give them a client, give them plugins, give them a client, give them RuneLite for RuneScape 3.
Alt 1 is nothing like what RuneLite is. I don't even know what to compare it to. It's like if you're trying to field like a football team or a soccer team, and you've got like the national team, you've got like US or the Canadian national soccer team as RuneLite, and you're up against Alt 1, which is essentially like the JV high school team. It is ridiculous. Oh my God.
It's like the Iron Man suit that Tony Stark makes in the cave versus like the last one.
How'd you solve the icing problem? Alt 1 still has not solved the icing.
There's still an icing problem.
Because if for no other reason, I don't remember the name of the quest where you go with the raptor and you go through all the memories. Excellent quest. The fucking slide puzzle.
Yep.
Oh no.
Of the front. That without quest helper genuinely took me 45 minutes. I was in the VC with one of my buddies and I'm like, dude, what the, like we were looking up guides on like how to solve this type of puzzle. Oh my God, we were struggling so hard to complete that quest.
Yeah, but did it feel better when you finally did it?
No, you know what I thought to myself?
I'm gonna quit this game.
I really wish I had quest helper.
Yeah, fair enough.
No sense of accomplishment needed. I think with the introduction of the Jagex client that is getting plugins, like officially licensed, supported in-game vanilla plugins, I think it's possible for RuneScape 3. And that just may be like the most naive thing to say. But I think if old school RuneScape can do it, which generally I think they take more risks with old school, like having your own client with plugins when 99.999% of the player base plays on a separate client is very risky. It's very risky to go up against your biggest competitor and try and make it to where it's not going to flop. That's big. That's huge. And then also they're redoing the graphics at the same time. So it's like two very big risks that old school RuneScape is taking that they wouldn't need to necessarily take that big of a risk if old school does it correctly. So it could translate. It could definitely translate to more like quality of life stuff going to RS3, which is cool.
I think that's a great pick. I love that. I think it would be awesome for RS3. I also think, okay, I'm coping again for like the 300th time in this podcast. But because players can make plugins, right? Effectively, if you care about efficiency and like monetary efficiency, having the players solve their own problems in the game instead of having to make them yourselves, pay people to make them, put devs on it. That seems kind of efficient, no?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
to
100%.
me, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, this makes sense for RuneScape 3 to put in the initial investment of getting the API to where it needs to be able to pull stuff. Like, I don't know if it's an official client like what Old School is doing, because that seems like a huge undertaking and investment. But RuneLite for RS3, like something like it, the reason it doesn't exist isn't because like RS3 people don't want to or we don't have a ton of devs. It's the opposite. It's that the API just isn't open the way that Old School's is. Like it's not makeable in RS3. So yeah, I would love it. I think that's a great pick.
Sweet.
That blows my pick out of the water. Holy
what
shit,
was yours?
Honestly, like I was thinking about like content that could go from from Old
that's still
School
fun,
to
though.
RS3.
That's still fun.
That is, yeah. Honest to God, from watching your guys' PVM and watching how you guys adopt Old School content, knowing that you have Vampirium on the way, if not the full raid, I want to see a Verzik Vatour fight.
That's the TOB person,
I want to see
right?
Yeah.
Yep, that's the final boss of Theater of Blood. I want to see like Elite Dungeon 4, but it's Theater of Blood style, or just the Verzik fight straight up, just to see what you guys would do. You guys do such a fun job of honoring the old school aesthetics, at least, right? I don't know much about the fights themselves, like, because mechanically, like, the reason Vorkath stands still in Old School is because they couldn't get it to move. Like, Vorkath moving on 3 legs would have been too hard for them to animate to walk around the arena. That's why Vorkath stands still. There is a
Somehow,
walking
I know what you're. The point you're making is good. Somehow you picked the best example, because before you continue, I should let you know that Vorkath and RS3 was so rushed that our Vorkath has 4 legs because they didn't have time to remove a leg.
Oh no.
And it also doesn't move.
Oh gosh.
Doesn't it do like a flying sweeping attack or something?
Yeah, but he like goes up, but he doesn't actually walk. But yeah, anyway.
Oh my
sorry,
God, you're kidding me.
I had to.
He just like stands still in the game?
Like he's got attack atoms and stuff. But yeah, the reason why he doesn't have 3 legs, even though he's supposed to, is because of it would have taken too long to remove a leg.
Silly. That is so silly.
But yeah, sorry for cutting you off. I just thought you picked the funniest example in the world.
That's wonderful. And I know it's funny because like Vorkath has a walking animation. When he does the like acid spit, he's technically walking, but he just like can't move. Like his rig is in place. Zuck, I know nothing about that fight. I tried to go down to the Zuck area and got the absolute dog shit beat out of me by the aggressive Tazars and turned right around and went, nope, this ain't for me yet. But like the Zuck fight and the rewards that you guys get from it and the music, oh my God. The music, your guys' sound fonts are really nice sometimes. So I think you guys honor old school content like bossing so well by making it RS3's own little thing that I think like particularly a P3 Verzik fight in RS3 seems like it would go really hard. Seems like you guys might enjoy that quite a bit, if not the entirety of Theater of Blood.
I would love that. And for a bit of an RS3 history lesson, so we've got these things called Elite Dungeons. It's a mix of like Slayer mobs and then 3 bosses, and there are checkpoints and things. That was RS3's version of Old School's raids. They were kind of developed at the same time. As an example, I was at the Elite Dungeon 1 playtest for our first Elite Dungeon, which happened at the same time as the TOB playtest. So they were being made at the same time. Recently, we have done a pivot, RS3, to what is effectively a lot closer to an old school raid. It's just 3 bosses back to back to back. So we just got one. It's called the Sanctum of Rebirth. It's really fun. It looks very similar design-wise to TOA, because it's like a pre-Amasket fight. So I actually think there's a ton of room for more of those boss rushes, and that's effectively an old school raid. So I would love to see a TOB. It would be very sick. But even recently, we've got so much from old school. Like we've got Amasket's Promise is the song for the Amasket boss fight, and it's similar to the old school one.
I got it.
But it's RS3 fight. It's
fucking
sick.
love Amasket's Promise.
Like
I gotta look that shit up right now.
If you pull it up right now, it's unreal. You're gonna love it. It's really good. I can't remember if it's called that, but it is.
I love the RuneScape sounds and the RuneScape music in this game. So I remember I was doing my counseling internship years ago, and I was on Twitter and I saw that like not OSRS but like RuneScape RS3 posted like, oh, come to the fucking Elder God Sanctum and fight Tizkal Zuck. I'm like, okay, excuse you. And then they had like the 30-second audio clip of the Heavy Metal Inferno, and I was like, it was, your guys' music is so good. I have loved listening to the music. Your guys' version of Dream, which is how we open our show, is the version I used when I got my Infernal Cape. If you guys remember way back during the opening, the cold opener of the Infernal Cape, it's the RS3 version of Dream that has that nice little, like, wonderful lead up to the actual music. So, is it called Amasket's Vision? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it is, but you'll hear similarities to Amasket's Promise. Like it's like a faithful RS3 remaster kind of. It goes pretty hard.
Julian Surma and Cole Rowland. This is about to.
Yeah. So that's why RS3.
Cole Rowland.
Yep, he did all the Catalyst music.
He did all the Leagues music too. Yeah, so that's why we're in the guitar era of RS3 because Cole Rowland is a huge RuneScape player and fan. So Jagex has started working with him. It's been so sick.
I would love to see how Fat Lady Sings translates to RS3, because I feel like when you have like RS3's in their guitar era, but the keynote instruments of Fat Lady Sings are the operatic singer and the organ.
Yeah.
I think if you found a way to implement those two in with the way RS3 does music, oh
It'd be really cool.
I'm probably never gonna do any RS3 versions of bosses. My account's not gonna. I don't have enough Protean training dummies in the world to get to those bosses. But I would love to just listen to what you guys do. I would love to see an RS3 Verzik fight.
Oh, for sure. Also, I'm so sorry because for the last 28 seconds, I had a Masket's Vision playing and it's going through in my recorder. I've stopped it though. So we've got 28 seconds. I don't think I said anything though, so you can just mute me. It should be fine.
We can mute you. We'll be okay.
Oh man, yeah. This is my first time with it's a brand new 2 PC setup from right before Leagues, and I've just been gaming the whole time, so I haven't figured out how to do anything.
Honestly, we are so glad that we are your first hey, you have to figure this out.
Yeah,
for this new setup.
I woke up. I was like, all right. I woke up. I got a coffee 15 minutes before. I was like, all right, ready to just chill. We'll show up. And then it was like, yeah. By the way, this is where you send your recording. I was like, oh no, this is trouble. Yeah, no, it'll be fine. 300 different technical issues, all entirely my fault. You can actually blame me for those.
Hell yeah.
We didn't even have an episode last week due to technical issues, so
you might not have an episode this week either.
I'm gonna be. Don't even bring that energy into the universe. I had so much fun. I'm gonna be so sad this episode doesn't come out.
That's on me. That's on me. Yeah, good pick though. Good pick.
Did you do yours, Ryan?
So
I haven't done mine.
Yeah. What from RS3 are you bringing to old school RuneScape?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think we bring Treasure Hunter over so that you guys can you can experience what it's like. I want you to experience what it's like to have everyone in the gaming community shit on you for 10 straight years. No, I'm kidding.
It's been fun. I would say thank you, but no. See you guys later.
No, okay. So my actual pick that I think would work really well at old school is we have a piece of content that is called Big Game Hunter. You go on Anachronia and you hunt dinosaurs. And it's a skilling only mini game. So it's Hunter, it's Slayer, it's Woodcutting, it's Fletching, and it's Herblore. So what you do is you've got this massive dinosaur that's following a preset path and walking around, and he's got a vision range around him. And if you spend too long in the vision range, he catches you and eats you. And what you got to do is you got to run around the arena, you got to chop down trees, you make spears, then you suck up poison. You tip the poison spears with frogs that are different colors around the arena, and each dinosaur is weak to a different frog color. And then you actually cut up vines and you make a ballista that you load up with these spears. And then you get to the middle of the room where there's a bait pad. You bait the bait pad with a fish that you brought with you, like a raw fish, a specific one per dinosaur. And then if you do all of that without spending too much time in the dinosaur's vision range, you get this cutscene where you basically just take down the dinosaur, and it's ridiculously fun. It's super active. Like, it works well with RS3 because you've got like surging and diving, but bro, I think it would go very hard in old school. And we're getting like a new version of it as well that's coming out. We're getting 120 thieving in a few months, and it's called Heists. And it's been described as Big Game Hunter for thieving. But basically, you're going to be breaking into a compound, a facility, evading guards, stealing things, opening chests to get like super high level rewards, including one of the ones that they teased. It looks like a DDS, but it's going to be like an RS3 like tier high dragon dagger. So anyway, I just feel like old school could use some really cool active skilling. RS3's got a couple bangers that you guys can have.
Nice.
It is. You talk about it being funny that I brought up Borkath. It is hysterical you brought up the dinosaur hunting content, because Kyrandia literally said in the booth, Oxie paid you to say that because he's a dinosaur guy. I love dinosaurs. They are cool as hell. I literally, I was talking to my buddy. I'm like, I feel like I have to go to Anachronia because people are going to ask. Like, I have to go to the dinosaur island. Turns out I'm too under-leveled to do any of this shit on this island. Except for mine, the Animica. I can't do the boss. I can't do the Slayer. I can't do the big game hunting. But it looks super cool, and the dinosaurs are really well animated. So it is so funny that you're like, yep, bring the dinosaurs into old school. Here. Great suggestion. I love that.
Take them.
I love it. What's so funny?
Oh my God, that would be so fun.
What's so funny is, Pat, we do this fun question section. We've done it since like episode 5 or something. So this will be episode 212, I think.
212, 210,
That's
something like that.
nuts.
It's-
Yeah.
Congrats,
the
by the way,
teens.
on that. That's so impressive to
Thank
make it
you.
through that many episodes and that many guests. Super sick.
Yeah, thank you. So we've done this fun question thing a lot, and sometimes we have to go off the dome. We're like, Brick, what's the question this week? And we have people in our community suggest the questions. We have a whole portion of our Discord where every week, without fail, hopefully somebody asks a question. And if you can see on my video, all of these postcards behind me are people who have sent us postcards, and they have fun questions on them. So we've done this a lot. And that question of like designing a new piece of content for a skill has come up, and Oxie pitched basically what big game hunting is. It was like once he got done with his pitch, I'm like, Oxie, I want this in the game so bad. But it's so funny that RuneScape 3 already has it.
Sure do.
Yeah, as I said, and I don't play any RS3. I've not seen Big Game Hunter. I know they made new Dagonoth queens that are dinosaurs. That's it.
Yep.
I've not seen any of it. What's the other, like, the end game boss by Lenny Akia?
Oh, Raksha. Raksha.
boss.
Danger Barney.
Yeah. Yep. Fought, strong word. Didn't have protection prayers. Didn't have enough. I had like tier 3 relics. I'm like, hey, what the hell is this thing? It died immediately. I was like, okay, well, never mind.
Yeah, it's actually kind of fun because I had an old school JMod message me and be like, because the old school people are playing leagues, right? And they DM'd me and they're like, I just fought Raksha. Old school would love this boss. Because the fun thing about it is it's all prayer flicking. There isn't a single mechanic that requires EOC. It's all just like movement and prayer flicking.
Finally,
and it's a massive dinosaur.
Something I understand.
Yeah, kind of. It's not bad, but yeah, no, it's a fun boss. People really like Raksha.
That would be great.
I have a part 2 to this. And this
All right.
gets into potentially you needing some old school knowledge, but are there any character models in RuneScape 3 that you think have changed too much that you would like to see their old school version restored?
I mean, I'm about to give you the least hot take of all time, but I do not like the remasters of the Dragon gear, the Rune gear. Like, I prefer the OG. I think it's iconic. I understand it doesn't look as good, but I believe RS3 is getting a character model, what's it called? Player avatar refresh, which was announced like 5 years ago, and then it was shelved, and then it was re-announced a couple months ago that it's going to happen.
They talked about it at RuneFest, I'm pretty sure. When I was in the little design thing, no idea what the hell anybody was talking about, but they seemed really excited about the character refresh that was coming.
Yeah, so basically RS3 characters they look really outdated. They look like 2010. And
You have
because of
hands.
that, one of the tough things about RS3 is you've got so many different eras of design, and instead of cleaning up them or like kind of having a consistency, there's really no consistency to the world because you have all these different eras and different leadership, and the company's been bought and sold so many times. So like you have eras where every single asset was repurposed from something else. You have eras where you've got an era with guitar music, you've got an era with no music, you've got quests that are voice acted and then some that aren't. And like the world doesn't feel very cohesive. And one of the things there too is like gear consistency is like completely gone in the game because all these different eras, like right now people would say, and I don't totally feel this, but we're kind of in the Play-Doh era of gear where a lot of new stuff that comes out, it just looks a little Play-Doh-y in some way. And which is like fine. It's one of the eras, and I'm sure the next one is going to be something completely different. But I would love to see more consistency in like what the world looks like and going back and actually cleaning stuff up and making it look consistent across the world. But with relation to that, I think player avatar will fix a lot of it because we'll get a brand new avatar that will look modern, and you'll actually have customization options. And I think it'll help.
Yeah, because there's like when you look at MMOs now. Take Dragon Wilds, for instance. Like that's a game that is built in the new era, the new generation. And I mean, even going into games where you can like change the bone structure of your face of your character, you can get down to the nitty gritty. It is kind of, it feels outdated for a 2025 MMO to have the character models that you do in RuneScape 3.
Yep, for sure.
They do look a little corny, which is saying a lot from someone like Michael and I, because initially when I think it was 2 nights ago. Like I said, I set the missus up with an old school account, and her and I did Tutorial Island, and we walked around for a little while. And her first thing, she made the character, she's like, "Where's my mouth?" I'm like, that's the funny thing. You don't get one. I'm like, you get one in the chat box, but you don't get a fully fleshed out face or hands or feet.
You just get little.
You just get like an anamorphic blob
Yep.
that gets to run around in old school.
That'll do it.
I got jump scared, like genuinely jump scared by abyssal demons. I was like, "What the fuck is that?" And they've come a long way, and I think the biggest travesty of all is the Dagonoth Kings. I don't know what your thoughts, Ryan, are on the Dagonoth Kings, but what have they done to my boys?
See, here's the thing about that. I get it in the sense that you don't want 2007 General Gardor at RS3, because that would also really stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, the remasters for the DKs, I'm not a fan of what they look like whatsoever. The one saving grace to it all is I believe if you got the pets before the remaster, you got the pet that is the old version. So I think I have
They changed it.
I think I have the old DK's pets. I hope. I'm gonna log in and find the ugly shriveled up dude.
They changed it. They changed it.
Because
I remember looking on the wiki, because I too was like, yo, I actually really love this. They've redesigned the bosses and they've given it the old look. We have some wilderness bosses that got pretty much totally reworked and redesigned. And with those pets, you can change whether you want the old or the new one. And I really like that. I think that's great. It gives a nice little homage to the other stuff. I looked on the wiki maybe a year ago, and I think they changed it. And now the baby Rex just looks like the regular Rex, not the stupid little like one-armed claw dinosaur.
Oh, no.
Oh, you're right. I just logged into my main. Yep, it's
You
the
can't
new
even
ones.
metamorph it. That sucks.
They did me so. Well, actually, wait. I'm on Leagues right now. I'm gonna hop to non-Leagues and take a look. But yeah, either way, yeah, there's definitely. Yeah, there's a lack of consistency in the world for sure, and
both games have elements of over design, like the hell are y'all doing with your abyssal demons? But also in the same vein, there's under design. Our gargoyles look so bad, especially compared to Dusk and Dawn. I really hope when we get Blood Moon Rises and we go to Vampirium, there is a new gargoyle variant that looks better than whatever our dog shit gargoyles in the Slayer Tower look like.
That's so true. Y'all's gargoyles look sick.
We've got
funny
some
enough,
really cool Slayer creatures. Like, I don't know if you've seen like Abyssal Lords, Abyssal Savages, like Abyssal Beasts. They all look so cool. And they like their initial, like, they're all over the wilderness too, but like they come from like an asylum in Seniston, and it's like super metal, like blood splatters all over the walls and the floor. And these mobs are absolutely terrifying, like straight out of a horror scene. And it's awesome. But then like you go back out into the world after that and you're like, I don't know if the rest of the world is here yet.
That's great.
Have you played any Dragon Wilds at all?
I have, yeah. So when it came out, I did like one full playthrough of the game. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was very fun. I think people had really bad MMO brain. So RS3 players were playing Dragon Wilds and playing it, and they played for 25 hours. They slayed Velgar or whatever, and they were like, bro, this game, there's nothing to do. And I was like, brother, I know you're used to a game that doesn't end, but you just played it.
You did it. Yeah, you beat the game. Yeah, that's it. That's all there is to do.
You just finished the game. Like, yeah, there isn't more to do after that 30 hours, because that's how a lot of games work. But yeah, no, I thought it was really good for what it was. Like, obviously they need more content to get me back into it. I don't see it as a game that I would like consistently play, but to me, it reminded me of Minecraft, where like some people play Minecraft every day and get into mods, all that stuff. But for me, like, me and the boys will pull up every 2 or 3 years, one random day when we're bored. We make a server, we slay the Ender Dragon, and then you don't talk about it again for 2 years. And that is like, to me, that is what Dragon Wilds is going to be for me. And that's great. That's perfect. It's a $20 game.
Yeah.
I don't need more than that from it. It's not a subscription. It's just you buy the game, you play it, you stop playing it, and that's it. Like,
you build a house, you kill the boss, you have a good time with it. That's
I'm in.
You know? Well, awesome. I think that's been an excellent fun question. I think this has been an excellent episode overall. I know we checked in at the break. Like, how are things going? I'm like, dude, I'm having a blast.
Sweet.
This has been such a fun time chatting with an RS3 player of all things.
I know, scary, right?
But like the RS3 player, the RS guy, as it were, as they call him. But it has been a wonderful time. Who the hell are you and where can people find you before we wrap this show
Ooh,
up?
good question. You can find me at twitch.tv/the RS guy. You could also find me at the RS guy on YouTube. Those are probably the best spots. And then if you want to get into the community, we've got all kinds of stuff. We got Discords, we got a friends chat, we got a clan chat, all that good stuff. But yeah, those are the main spots. If you come by from the podcast though, come on in, send a first time chatter message, be like, hey, I'm coming over from the podcast. I would love to say hello. But yeah, no, this was really fun. Very much appreciate the chat. Thank you guys for reaching out. This was nice.
Yeah, it's been a ton of fun. Well, folks, you know where to find Ryan, and by this point, you should know where to find us. If not, there is a link tree in the description of this episode with everything you will ever need to find us, to let us, as Michael so eloquently puts every week, fill your ear holes to your heart's content, even when we are not releasing a new episode. This has been a wonderful time. I am currently 400K away from 99 mining in RS3 Leagues, so that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my day. So the next like 10 minutes or something like that, however long that's going to be. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. It's been a great time. That's where we are going to call it, folks. We will see you all next week. We're going to be back to regularly scheduled old school RuneScape content. We promise we're going to talk about old school. It's okay. Okay. We've had fun. I think my time in the league has probably come to a close at this point. If I was a betting man, I've got the itch to come back to old school, but I have had a blast in RS3 Leagues. With that, we will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.